Chapter 1342. Xiaoqian thought for a while. Then, he revealed a smile. I guess it has something to do with that transcendent divine weapon. For Mo Chun to establish a connection with the Lunar Palace, and even get the Lunar Palace to give her a bright jade fan, someone from the Lunar Palace must have asked her to help refine the transcendent divine weapon. Mo Chun had the Book of Heavenly Works. Her refining skills were already extraordinary. Aside from this, Xiaoqian could not think of any other reason. Mo Chun smiled faintly and said, "You are not stupid. I did not refine that transcendent divine weapon. I only assisted from aside, using the Book of Heavenly Works to help control the temperature of the flame and let the swordsmith focus on forging." Xiaoqian understood that while Mo Chun spoke humbly, she had definitely helped a lot. Otherwise, she would not have given him a bright jade fan. With a bright jade fan, he could get the Lunar Palace to help him with something, which would be like owing her a favor. Of course, this referred to an ordinary matter. Getting the Lunar Palace to side with the Dragon's Gate was impossible with just the bright jade fan. Back then, the holy daughter Yu Bingyan personally came to look for me. At first, I hesitated and did not agree. However, she seemed to have anticipated today's situation and repeatedly begged me to help to obtain this bright jade fan and hand it to you. Mo Chun spoke tirelessly, telling the truth. Xiaoqian's heart skipped a beat. Did Yu Bingyan really manage to reach this step? Probably not. Xiaoqian did not believe that anyone could be that incredible. She just wanted to give me a chance to go to the Lunar Palace. Regardless of whether that was the case or not, this jade fan was indeed of great help to me now. Xiaoqian put away the jade fan and paced around the room, thinking about how to face the Lunar Palace's people. He was somewhat confident of dealing with the other holy lands. However, this was the only holy land that he was in danger. Big brother Xiaoqian. Actually, there is no need to be anxious. When Mo Chun saw the worry on Xiaoqian's face, she consoled him. Actually, the one who should be anxious is not you, but the deity Dao Union's group. Big brother Xiaoqian, you already convinced the various holy lands. However, they only managed to convince the divine dragon palaces of the four seas. Right now, you hold the complete advantage in the heavenly starry ocean. Why put so much pressure on yourself? Xiaoqian's eyes lit up. When he heard Mo Chun's words, he immediately felt enlightened, feeling refreshed. When Mo Chun saw Xiaoqian's frown relax, she continued, "Sometimes, when you look at a problem from a different angle, you will discover that the situation can change immediately. Right now, you should not think of yourself as the weak party. Right now, your momentum is flourishing in the heavenly starry ocean, and your reputation is great. The weak party is the deity Dao Union. If they cannot convince the Lunar Palace, they will lose everything in the heavenly starry ocean. It will be even more difficult for them to destroy the Haoyan sect, and they will have to pay an even greater price. You have already disrupted their plans." Xiaoqian's eyes lit up. He nodded and said, "That's right." Mo Chun, continue. After receiving encouragement, she continued analyzing. As long as the Lunar Palace remains neutral, big brother Xiaoqian, you have already succeeded. As for the deity Dao Union, they need to take down the Lunar Palace. Otherwise, all their plans in the heavenly starry ocean will fail. Xiaoqian smiled and said, "That's right. Why must the Lunar Palace side with the Dragon's Gate? They just need to remain neutral." With Mo Chun's explanation, Xiaoqian's train of thought immediately cleared. The most important thing was that his mental state completely changed. "Many thanks. If not for what you said, even if I could enter Bright Moon City, it would not be of much use. Instead, it might even have the opposite effect." Xiaoqian said sincerely after calming down. It was just like how the deity Dao Union sent someone to assassinate Xiaoqian, which ended up helping him. If Xiaoqian went to the Lunar Palace and did not control his mental state, he might end up helping the deity Dao Union. With this thought, Xiaoqian felt a chill run down his spine. He had nearly made a huge mistake. "Oh, right, I still have not asked you. What exactly is that transcendent divine weapon?" Xiaoqian asked out of curiosity. The Lunar Palace wanted to forge a new transcendent divine weapon. Xiaoqian knew about this. Back then, Yu Bingyan had told him about it. The startling Phoenix Zither was ranked 10th on the divine weapon ranking. It was too dangerous and could be pushed down at any moment. The Lunar Palace needed to forge a new, transcendent divine weapon. It is a set of sabers and swords, one saber and one sword. Although they are two divine weapons, the two can merge into one. Furthermore, they come from the same source, so they could be considered one transcendent divine weapon. Xiao Chun understood this. A set of weapons could be seen as one. The 7 deadly sins in his hand were the same. Mo Chun continued. One is the wind shadow sword, and the other is the cloud moon saber. The two are extremely horrifying. The shadow of the wind and the moon of the clouds. Wind and clouds merge, and the shadow of the moon is missing. This transcendent divine weapon involves 5 states. Furthermore, it needs to be combined with the 2 profound martial techniques of the Lunar Palace. Its might is extremely horrifying. Now, it ranks first on the divine weapon ranking. Xiao Qin asked casually, what if it cannot be combined? Mo Chan said, since it is a set and cannot be combined, its might will naturally be greatly reduced. It might even be weaker than an ordinary divine weapon. However, 3 days later, a piece of unexpected news spread throughout the entire heavenly starry ocean like a strong gust of wind, despite Xiao Qin's casual question. The Lunar Palace sent out news that anyone who could draw the cloud moon saber during the divine weapon unveiling ceremony would be able to enter the Lunar Palace and marry the Holy Daughter. The moment this news spread, all the men in the heavenly starry ocean went crazy. In the Lunar Palace, most female disciples could marry, but the Holy Daughter could not. After becoming the Lunar Palace's Holy Daughter, while enjoying the attention of the world and being aloof, she still had to abandon her emotions and endure indescribable loneliness. After becoming the Lunar Palace's Holy Daughter, while enjoying the attention of the world and being aloof, she still had to abandon her emotions and endure indescribable loneliness. As for the Holy Daughter, that was something that could only be thought of in their hearts. Unexpectedly, as long as one drew a saber, one could marry the Holy Daughter. As for the Holy Daughter, that was something that could only be thought of in their hearts. Unexpectedly, as long as one drew a saber, one could marry the Holy Daughter. This news was like a bomb going off in the deep sea, spreading very quickly. It instantly overshadowed the matter of Xiao Chun convincing the various holy lands. When Xiao Chun first arrived in the heavenly starry ocean, he had seen the Holy Daughter's prestige in the heavenly starry ocean. Not only did she enjoy a good reputation in the world of cultivators, she enjoyed an even more venerated position among ordinary people. Among ordinary mortals, her status was even more revered. She was like a fairy in the mortal world. He didn't even dare to think about marrying such a woman as his wife. When Xiao Chun and Mo Chun heard this news, they were both stunned. Indeed, no one would have thought of such an unexpected thing beforehand. Mo Chun looked at Xiao Chun and asked, "Tell me, did you know about this long ago? Otherwise, why did you ask me what would happen if the two could not be combined?" Xiao Chun smiled bitterly and said, "It was really just a casual question. If not for you, I would not even know what a transcendent divine weapon is." Mo Chun smiled and said, "I was just saying it casually. There's no need to be so nervous. It looks like there is no one in the Lunar Palace who can make the cloud moon saber recognize a master." A divine weapon recognizing a master was a very strange thing. Some divine weapons could easily recognize a master as long as one was strong enough. However, some divine weapons, such as the 7 deadly sins in Xiao Chen's hand, required the cultivator to be compatible with the divine weapon. Otherwise, the divine weapon would never recognize a master, no matter how strong it was. Is there a need to sacrifice a holy daughter for a divine weapon? Xiao Chun could not understand this. As he looked at the bright jade fan in his hand, he vaguely thought of something. Mo Chan said, "You don't understand. Right now, this saber and sword are at the top of the divine weapon ranking. The Lunar Palace poured 10,000 years of accumulations into this. They are specially forged to deal with a great calamity. It is impossible for them to give up, so they can only resort to this method. Furthermore, my guess is that the Lunar Palace definitely has countermeasures to control the person who can make the divine weapon recognize a master. However, Xiao Chen did not hear what Imochen said. He stared at the bright jade fan in a daze. Did Yu Bingyun expect this to happen? Yu Bingyun guessed long ago that no one in the Lunar Palace could make the Cloud Moon Saber recognize a master. Even after Yu Bingyun tried to dissuade them, the Lunar Palace still insisted on forging this set of divine weapons. Hence, the Lunar Palace gave Mo Chun the bright jade fan to hand to him. Could this be his opportunity for the divine weapon unveiling ceremony? After the twists and turns, what Xiao Chun saw was not the light at the end of the tunnel that he wanted. Instead, there were new waves and new problems. Chapter 1343. As Xiao Chun looked at the bright jade fan, his emotions fluctuated. For a moment, he forgot that Mo Chun was talking to him. Big brother Xiao Chun. Big brother Xiao Chun. Only after Mo Chun called out twice did Xiao Chun react. He said, sorry. I was thinking about something else. Mo Chun smiled faintly and said, actually, I already guessed it. Why would Yu Bingyun come to Heavenly Star Island to beg me for no reason? She must have some sort of relationship with big brother Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun sighed softly and said calmly, it can't be considered a relationship. I just experienced some life-and-death situations with her and went on adventures together. Suddenly, when I heard that she was going to marry, my emotions fluctuated somewhat. What's wrong? Does big brother Xiao Chun like her? Mo Chun asked seriously as she blinked and looked at Xiao Chun. This question stumped Xiao Chun. Did he like Yu Bingyun? The answer was obvious. As the holy daughter, Yu Bingyun was pretty and refined. Her character was elegant and magnanimous. No man would not have a good impression of such a girl. Naturally, Xiao Chun was no exception. However, he did not know how much of a good impression Yu Bingyun had. Furthermore, right now, he was like duckweed, about to sink at any moment. He did not dare to talk about love. Xiao Chun was certain that there was only one lover in his heart, Qingyun Peak's Lu Ruyue. No matter how many years had passed and how much they had experienced, Xiao Chun buried this feeling in his heart and would never forget it. As for the others, Xiao Chun did not think too much about them. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chun replied, regardless of whether she likes you or not, since she asked you to give the bright jade fan to me, then she definitely does not like to marry. It would have been fine if I did not know. Now that I know, I have to help her this time. Humph. Right after Xiao Chun spoke, Ao Jiao snorted heavily from the immortal spirit ring, appearing extremely dissatisfied. Since he wanted to help, then Xiao Chun would definitely draw his saber. As a lunar shadow saber's item spirit, Ao Jiao immediately felt jealous. When Little Three heard that, she laughed endlessly at the side, scolding Ao Jiao. Ao Jiao was angry and ignored her. Xiao Chun could not explain it to her for now, so he could only let her be. He said to Mo Chun, make some preparations. When the time comes, you will come with me to Bright Moon City. I'll go with you. Xiao Chun nodded. Yes, this lunar palace is very important to me as well. Stay by my side and remind me when necessary so that I won't do anything stupid. When Mo Chun heard this, she smiled and said, sure. I also want to see how crazy the scene will be. When the group in the pavilion were Tianyu, she was learned that Yu Bingyun was going to marry the person who drew the Cloud Moon Saber. They were greatly startled. They didn't expect such a thing to happen before they left. The thinking of the Lunar Palace is really unfathomable. If the person who drew the saber was old and ugly, then wouldn't the holy daughter Yu Bingyun be in trouble? Xingju shook his head, indicating that he did not understand. Xie Zishuan smiled gently and said, isn't that simple? Just go and draw that Cloud Moon Saber, and everything will be fine. Ha ha! I will definitely give it a try. Marrying the holy daughter is indeed very tempting. Xingju replied indifferently. Tianyu, she frowned slightly and said, this commotion is very sudden. I really don't know if it is good or bad for us. Xiao Hoju analyzed, no matter who draws the Cloud Moon Saber, as long as it is not Xiao Chun, it is a good thing for us. Feng Wuji added, don't worry. Xiao Chun cannot even enter Bright Moon City. How can he draw the saber? The best situation is that one of us can draw the cloud moon saber. In that case, the Lunar Palace will definitely side with the deity Dao Union. Xiaochen will have no chance at all. Tianyu, she looked around and glanced at the people present. He felt that this was very possible. Be it Xiao Hoju or Feng Wuji, they were both outstanding talents who returned from experiential training in the astral battlefield. They were stronger than the many outstanding talents of the heavenly starry ocean. As for Xingju and Xiezi Xuan, there was no need to even mention them. They were descendants of primes. Now, their strength was unfathomable. They could even kill a regular Emperor Wu. They were much stronger than the outstanding talents of the heavenly starry ocean. If Xiao Chan did not make a move, no one would be able to suppress them. Very well, it is decided then. I will send people to figure out as soon as possible. As for the Cloud Moon Saber, the few of you should make preparations. I will definitely reward whoever can draw the Cloud Moon Saber. Tianyu, she said seriously. Xingju and the others exchanged glances and did not object. A look flashed in their eyes, mostly of eagerness. Who would not be tempted by a woman like the Holy Daughter? As Xiao Chun, Tianyu Shi, and the others made their preparations, all the outstanding talents of the heavenly starry ocean went crazy. The news spread very quickly. The many cultivators of the Black Sea, the Storm Sea, and the Ice Sea also received the news in the shortest time possible. Immediately, the news of the Lunar Palace's holy daughter getting married spread throughout the entire oceanic world, becoming the hottest topic. The number of people heading to Bright Moon City was several times more than usual. There was a huge crowd, all wanting to test their skills at the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. In the sky, at the palace hovering in the sky like a bright moon, Yu Bingyun had a melancholic expression on her face as she stared out the window in a daze. As the Lunar Palace's holy daughter, Yu Bingyun had never hoped to have a true relationship. For many years, her heart had never changed, never having any ripples. She had only met that person, and her heart slowly changed. There had never been a person who gave her such an intense feeling, stirring her heart and making her worry. However, Yu Bingyun still retained a rationality. Similarly, she did not have any extravagant hopes for any results. She placed that feeling in the depths of her heart. She did not think about it. However, she simply could not accept the current situation. Even if she could not marry for the rest of her life, it would be countless times better than marrying someone she did not like. Would he dare to come? Would he guess why I gave him the bright jade fan? Yu Bingyun's heart was in a mess. No matter what she did, she could not calm down. Her thoughts were a mess, unable to sort them out. Bingyun, what are you thinking about? The Lunar Palace's palace master silently entered the elegant room. Startled, she quickly turned around and bowed. Master, Bingyun is fine. The Lunar Palace's palace master shook her head and said, Your worries are written all over your face. How can you be fine? Don't blame Master. Great chaos is approaching. The demonic great calamity will arrive soon. If the Lunar Palace wants to seek safety under the pressure of the deity Dao Union, it needs the existence of this saber and sword. There will be an even more horrifying demonic great calamity. We will need the Wind Shadow Sword and the Cloud Moon Saber even more. The Lunar Palace has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. We absolutely cannot let it fall here. Yu Bingyun said softly, I know. Bingyun will do whatever Master says. The Lunar Palace's palace master smiled warmly and said, There's no need to overthink. The person who can draw the Cloud Moon Saber is absolutely worthy of you. Given the pride of the Cloud Moon Saber, it will not choose an ugly person. If that person dares to bully you, Master will definitely not spare him. Yu Bingyun smiled bitterly in her heart. If the person was not the one she loved, no matter how outstanding he was, it was useless. However, Yu Bingyun did not show it on her face. She just nodded slightly to indicate that she understood. The Lunar Palace's palace master gave Yu Bingyun a deep look. Yu Bingyun was like a daughter to her. The Lunar Palace's palace master watched her grow up and poured all her heart and soul into her. However, this time, the Lunar Palace's palace master had no choice. To think that no one in the vast Lunar Palace could draw the Cloud Moon Saber. This situation was unexpected. For the sake of forging this saber and sword, the lunar palace had exhausted far more resources than the outside world expected. If this saber and sword became mere decorations, then the lunar palace would suffer severe injuries to its essence for many years, finding it hard to recover. The more important thing was still to come. The deity Tao Union already put a lot of pressure on the lunar palace. The lunar palace did not want to lean towards any faction. The lunar palace needed to have its own trump card so that the deity Tao Union would not dare to use force on the lunar palace. However, the matters of the world were hard to predict. The commotion caused by the divine weapon unveiling ceremony far surpassed her expectations. Chapter 1344. Time passed day by day. Soon, half a month was about to arrive. During this time, Xiao Chun held the bright jade fan and pondered for a long time. The jade fan opened up, and a brilliant light shone out. A melodious song echoed in the surroundings, lingering for a long time. The elegant singing sounded like Yu Bingyun was talking to him. The scenes of their time together flashed in his mind. This girl's graceful bearing continuously appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. He could feel the misery and sorrow in her heart. She was begging him to help her once and not let this happen. However, Xiao Chen wanted to go to the Lunar Palace to obtain the Lunar Palace's help. Xiao Chen told Xiao Chen not to side with the deity Tao Union. If Xiao Chen caused trouble at the divine weapon unveiling ceremony, it would backfire, giving Tianyu Shi and the others a chance. This was also the reason why Xiao Chen wanted to bring Mo Chen along. He was afraid that he would act rashly. Big brother Xiao Chen, we're leaving. Mo Chen pushed the door open and entered. Half a month had already passed. If they did not leave now, it would be too late. Mo Chen had urged Xiao Chen to leave several times, but Xiao Chen said there was no rush. But now, he had no choice but to leave, or else he would be late. Xiao Chen closed the jade fan and remained silent for a while before saying, "Let's go." 3 days later, the majestic bright moon city appeared in Xiao Chen's vision like a bright moon. Cultivators heading to the lunar palace filled the sky, the sea, and the surroundings. There was no need to guess. These were all people participating in the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. They all wanted to try their luck to see if they could draw the cloud moon saber. Xiao Chun and Mo Chun both wore round hats on their heads. There was white gauze around the brim of their hats, covering half their faces. Their appearances could not be seen clearly. It seems like there are quite a few acquaintances. Xiao Chun looked around and revealed a faint smile. He saw Yi Chun, whom he had not seen for a long time. This fellow flew toward the city gate alone, and many people recognized him as the Northern Sea Alliance's young alliance leader. But today, he definitely wouldn't stand out too much and wouldn't attract too much discussion. There were too many outstanding talents in Bright Moon City. When Xiao Chun casually looked around, he even saw Di Xinhan and the Heavenly Province Academy's holy son. Now was not the time to greet him. He could not reveal his identity yet. At this moment, Mo Chun pointed and said, "Look, that looks like Goddess Tianyu Shi." Xiao Chun looked in the direction Mo Chun pointed. He saw a golden warship flying in the sky. Instead of walking through the city gates, he leaped into the city. At the bow of the ship, a white-haired lady stood gracefully. Xiao Chun looked somewhat familiar. However, based on this silhouette, he was certain that this person was the divine daughter, Tianyu Shi. Who were the two beside them? Why do they look so familiar? Xiao Chun noticed that there was a person on each side of Tianyu Shi. These two people looked familiar, but Xiao Chun could not place them. Their auras were extremely grave. Since when did these two people appear beside Tianyu Shi? In an instant, Xiao Chun felt fear in his heart. This time, many unexpected things might happen at the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. The matter of the Lunar Palace's holy daughter marrying someone of a lower status surpassed many people's expectations. Before everyone's envious gazes, the deity race's warship flew over Bright Moon City unobstructed. It did not enter through the crowded city gates. Instead, it slowly vanished from Xiao Chen's sight. Dong! 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 Just at this moment, the sound of galloping horses came from the sea, accompanied by the howling of a cold wind. The temperature in the air plummeted. The cold suddenly assaulted everyone, making them feel cold for some reason. Xiao Chun turned his head to take a look. He saw a handsome man with a frosty face and white sideburns riding on an icy horse. He rode on the icy horse, causing snowflakes to drift down. It's young Master Bi Shui, the Ice Sea's young master. Unexpectedly, he came as well. His father, the Ice Sovereign, is unrivaled in his comprehension of the will of ice. He rules the entire Ice Sea and is no weaker than any of the immortal Holy Lands. The Holy Daughter's charm is truly unstoppable. The Ice Sea was not very large. Because it snowed all year round, most of its surface was sealed in ice. Xiao Chun had heard of the Ice Sovereign before, but had never interacted with him. Furthermore, this place was very far from the heavenly starry ocean. Previously, Xiao Chun had not put much thought into going to the Ice Sea. After carefully sizing up this handsome man, Xiao Chun nodded to himself. This person is pretty strong and has many unique aspects. Just his cultivation alone is already a consummation blue-robed emperor. He can undergo his great tribulation of wind and fire at any time and advance to martial emperor. However, it is clear that this person is rather cautious. The other party has probably been stuck at this consummation blue-robed emperor stage for 20 years already. Young Master Bi Shui, unexpectedly, you're interested in this holy daughter as well. However, I fell in love with the holy daughter at first sight in the storm sea. I think you had better not come. The sound of an intense storm resounded. Then, a young man riding the wind appeared behind young Master Bi Shui. He had delicate features and could be considered handsome. However, compared to young Master Bi Shui's frosty expression and icy aura, this person's face was as wild and unruly as a strong wind. His clear eyes flickered with a wild and frenzied expression. Sure Feng, that madman is here as well. Is it the Storm Sea's young master? This fellow is young Master Bi Shui's old rival. His style of doing things is extremely crazy. Young Master Bi Shui looked back and smiled coldly. Fool, Miss, you used all the storm stones she borrowed from your Storm Sea on the Wind Shadow Sword. The ice eyes used in the Cloud Moon Saber were all obtained from my Ice Sea. Who do you think can draw the Cloud Moon Saber? Shifeng smiled and said, haha, in that case, just wait and see. Miss Bingyin told me some of the secrets of the Cloud Moon Saber. Just wait and see. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. However, he did not hear what Shifeng said as he carefully pondered young Master Bi Shui's words. Could it be that Yu Bingyin really had dealings with this Shifeng and young Master Bi Shui before? With this thought, Xiao Chun could not help feeling somewhat uncomfortable. He felt strangely frustrated for some reason, but he did not know why. Whoosh! Not long after the two of them left, they heard an urgent whistling sound in the surroundings. This sound contained a saber intent with an unparalleled sharpness. When Xiao Chun looked up, he saw someone flying over in the sky. He was like a powerful treasure saber, tearing through the sky and splitting the cloud sea in half. When Xiao Chun saw this person, he could not help exclaiming hoarsely, When Ziren, the personal disciple of the saber sovereign Wu Xiaotian, had not seen him for many years. Unexpectedly, the sharpness and saber intent of this person had already become so terrifyingly strong. When Ziren charged straight ahead, disappearing in a flash and entering Bright Moon City, moving as fast as lightning. However, the saber intent that he left behind lingered for a long time, spreading out in the world. Buzz! The sharp saber intent appeared in the world again. Then, 9 figures appeared in the distance. These 9 people carried a rugged saber intent as they tore through the clouds, looking like a sharp saber flying over. The auras of these 9 people were all different. Some were surging flames, some were drifting snow, some were howling storms, some were flashing lightning, and so on and so forth. The only thing they had in common was that all of them had an extremely strong saber intent. With one glance, one would tremble in fear. There are so many Saber Sovereign descendants. Aside from the true Saber Sovereign's descendant, when Ziren, the personal disciples of the Inferno Saber Sovereign, the Ice Saber Sovereign, and the Thunder Saber Sovereign are all rushing over. It looks like the rumors are true. I heard long ago that the Lunar Palace's palace master personally sent out invitations to the many saber sovereigns. Now they're all here. It's over. We're probably done for. With so many experts of the saber Dao and outstanding talents, one of them will definitely draw the lunar shadow saber and marry the holy daughter. Many discussions rang out without end. Everyone's tone was filled with disappointment. Originally, they still had some hope that they could take advantage of this. Now, it looked like that was just wishful thinking. This seems to be somewhat difficult. Under the hat, Xiao Chun frowned heavily. Then, he took out the bright jade fan and took a look. His frown slowly relaxed. No matter what, since Yu Bingyan made this request, he would help out. He would draw the Cloud Moon Saber and destroy this ceremony. Chapter 1345. Withdrawing his gaze, Xiao Chun soared into the air with Mo Chun, heading for Bright Moon City. Instantly, the surrounding cultivators focused their attention on the two. They revealed suspicious expressions. Who is this person? Why does he dare to fly in a Bright Moon City like those holy scions? Could he be from another place and not know the rules? That's impossible. No matter how ignorant he is, he would not dare to barge into the Lunar Palace. He must be an outstanding talent of a holy land or someone who received an invitation from the Lunar Palace. Just watch. If he is not a holy scion, someone will definitely stop him. Just as Xiao Chun and Mo Chun approached the city, two beautiful female disciples flew over from the air. They said softly, "This is Bright Moon City. If you have not received an invitation, please enter through the city gates." Without saying anything, Xiao Chun took out the bright jade fan and opened it. Immediately, the bright jade fan gave off a bright light, and a melodious song came from it, echoing in the surroundings. The song lingered and drifted about, kicking up tiny waves on the surface of the sea like it was dancing. The bright jade fan. Shocked exclamations rang out in the surroundings. Unexpectedly, this unremarkable person directly took out a bright jade fan. This is really strange. In the past 1,000 years, the Lunar Palace has only sent out 10 of these bright jade fans. It looks like this divine weapon unveiling ceremony is going to be an eventful one. The bright jade fan has not appeared for more than 100 years already. Those who could wield the bright jade fan definitely had extraordinary backgrounds. It was hard not to be shocked. Whoosh! Xiao Chun closed the bright jade fan and showed it to the female disciple blocking the way. After he saw it clearly, he no longer blocked the way. He bowed respectfully and said, "So, it is an esteemed guest. Sorry for the offense earlier. Might I ask if the two of you are here to participate in the divine weapon unveiling ceremony as well?" Xiao Chun nodded and said, "Just to watch the excitement. Please, come with me." The two female Lunar Palace disciples did not leave immediately. Instead, they specially led the way for Xiao Chun, appearing very meticulous. With a bright jade fan, one could even meet the Lunar Palace's palace master. One could even casually make a request that was within the normal range. Naturally, the Lunar Palace disciples did not dare to show any neglect, lest they forget etiquette. "My name is Ming Xiao, and this is my junior sister Hong Yan. Since you have the bright jade fan, you can directly bring the two of them to the VIP seats." The delicate-looking woman on the left-hand side spoke. Her voice was like spring water, irregular and graceful. Xiao Chun shook his head and said, "Just lead the way. We don't need to go to the VIP seats." So. The four of them flew through the air at lightning speed, passing by many pavilions and streets. Many cultivators who were walking on the ground were envious of them. The privilege of flying in the skies of Bright Moon City wasn't something just anyone could enjoy. Under normal circumstances, even Emperor Wu wouldn't dare to do so. An hour later, the four of them arrived at the largest Bright Moon Square in the city. The plaza was filled with the figures of cultivators. Amid the hubbub of voices, there was almost no gap between them. "Since the two of you don't want to sit in the VIP seats, Hong Yan, help them get 2 seats," the delicate female disciple instructed softly. Xiao Chun said politely, "Many thanks. In that case, we won't disturb the two of you any further." The figures of the two female disciples fluttered, disappearing from the two's sight. After the two left, Xiao Chun pulled Mo Chun and quickly retreated, blending into the crowd. There were all sorts of cultivators in the plaza. Who knew how many of them there were? The two's attire was nothing special. Trying to find them among the crowd would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. Xiao Chun had no choice but to be cautious. If someone discovered his identity in advance, he would definitely be chased out. If that happened, all his previous efforts would be for naught. The many invited outstanding talents and the disciples of the various saber sovereigns were all seated in the VIP seats on the tall platform in front. All of them had dignified appearances as they chatted cheerfully. As they spoke, they revealed strong self-confidence, attracting much attention. Among them, Tian Yushi and the others were the most eye-catching. The various holy signs frequently glanced at them. Some of the saber sovereign's descendants also showed fear in their gazes, withdrawing the arrogance in their eyes. Xiao Chun, who was below the platform, saw everything clearly this time. An expression of understanding appeared in his eyes. It turned out that the two people beside Tianyu, she were the personal disciples of the heaven-punishing corpse god and the Donyue ghost emperor. No wonder they looked so familiar. After not seeing them for several years, these two's strength had indeed increased significantly. Even the first heaven martial Emperor Wu would not be a match for them. Xiao Chun briefly explained the situation of these two to Mo Chun. She frowned and said, "This is going to be somewhat troublesome." Unexpectedly, so many people came to the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. This is especially so for the descendants of those saber sovereigns. If anyone can seize the opportunity to make a move, they might be able to draw the cloud moon saber. Xiao Chun said softly, "I wonder, how will the lunar palace arrange this sequence?" Just as the two were pondering, a faint yellow light descended from the ethereal palace that looked like a bright moon. It was pure and gorgeous, even more beautiful than moonlight. As the light descended, the lunar palace's three female elders, the holy daughter Yu Bingyun, and the lunar palace's vice palace master arrived. When the group landed, the atmosphere instantly reached a climax. Countless fervent gazes stared at Mooncake Cloud. Their fervent gazes contained an additional trace of desire than usual. Mooncake Cloud carried a sword on her back. Her spirited eyes swept across the platform. At the same time, she sent out her perception but did not discover the person she was waiting for. An indiscernible disappointment and grief flashed in her eyes. Then, she bowed slightly and slowly moved to the side. When Xiao Chun saw this scene, he felt slightly startled. However, he still resisted the urge to jump out. The four Lunar Palace disciples took out a treasure saber and slowly stabbed it into the platform. Whoosh! Immediately, everyone shifted their gazes from Mooncake Cloud to that treasure saber. Without a doubt, this was the Cloud Moon Saber. As long as one could draw it, one could marry the Holy Daughter, completing the dream of everyone. Since everyone is here, I believe you all know that something unexpected happened at the Divine Weapon Unveiling Ceremony. As long as anyone can draw the Cloud Moon Saber and is willing to marry into my Lunar Palace, they can marry the Holy Daughter. The Lunar Palace's Vice Palace Master spoke the words that everyone anticipated. So it is true. As long as one can draw that saber, one can marry the Holy Daughter. What exactly are the origins of this saber? To think that the Lunar Palace is willing to spend so much on it. Amid the discussions, the Divine Daughter Tian Yushi asked, "Might I ask, Senior, with this saber placed here, who will be the first to draw it?" The first to draw the saber would definitely hold the advantage. If one managed to draw it in one go, the people behind would regret it. However, with so many people here, no matter who drew the saber first, the others would be convinced. It would be hard to avoid disputes. Yu Bingyan glanced at Tianyu, and smiled faintly. The person who draws the saber does not discriminate between men and women. If the Divine Daughter is willing to come to my Lunar Palace, Bingyun can make the decision to let you try first. Bingyun can make the decision to let you be the first to try. Of course, if you can really pull it out, you'll have to give up your divine child. Ha ha ha. Those with discerning eyes knew that the Lunar Palace's Holy Daughter was mocking Tian Yushi. Immediately, Loud laughter rang out, making Tianyu she feels somewhat embarrassed. Tianyu, she replied, the holy daughter's appearance and aura are unparalleled in the world. However, Yoshi is a girl in the end, and she's engaged. If younger sister Bingyan does not mind, you can let me make the decision to be the first. Yu Bingyan glanced at Yu Bingyan. Then, she looked at the eager Xingju and Xie Zishuan beside Yu Bingyan. She asked coldly, do you think that is possible? Right after Yu Bingyan spoke, she suddenly threw a palm strike. A shock wave burst out, and the cloud moon saber flew out. The cloud moon saber turned into a beam of golden light, flying towards the spectator stands in front. Whoever is capable will be the first to draw the saber. The moment Yu Bingyun said that, the entire place was startled. The many outstanding talents in the VIP stands were stunned for a moment before they quickly flew up and chased after that beam of golden light. The tens of thousands of cultivators below the spectator stands were even more excited. All of them soared into the sky, wanting to catch that beam of golden light. The scene instantly turned chaotic. Chapter 1346. When Tianyu she saw Yu Bingyun's actions, her face turned somewhat sullen. This Yu Bingyun did not give her any face at all, not being polite at all. In reality, how could Yu Bingyun be polite to her? It was already very good that she did not fall out with her immediately. If not for Yu Bingyun representing the deity Dao Union, she would not have given the Lunar Palace's palace master such pressure, causing her to make up her mind. Half of the outstanding talents on the tall platform had already left. The remaining people, including the disciples of the 10 Saber Sovereigns, were not in a rush to leave. The reason was none other than that these people were truly strong and had a chance of drawing the Cloud Moon Saber. They were very confident in themselves. Their mental states were also stronger than that of ordinary people. They would not get flustered at the slightest strange movement. Shifeng, who was in the storm sea, stood up and looked around. Then he smiled and said, if everyone is not leaving, then I will take my leave first. Miss Bingyun, please wait for a moment. I will go and draw the Cloud Moon Saber now. Shifeng soared into the sky amid maniacal laughter, turning into a storm as he charged at the crowd. Move aside. The storm surged out, and cracks appeared in space. The strong wind burst out with a tearing force, instantly pulling the people in front of Shifeng away. Quickly scatter. Quickly scatter. That madman Shifeng is here. At the sight of this indiscriminate storm attack, the expressions of several cultivators in the air changed drastically. Horror flashed in their eyes. They all scattered, not daring to come into contact with Shifeng and block his way. Below, behind his hat, Xiaoqin's expression did not change at all. However, when he saw the power of this storm, he nodded to himself. The power of this strong wind was indeed extraordinary. Xiaoqin had some understanding of the wind Dao. However, he was far from being able to tear space as berserk as Shifeng. However, there were far more than 100,000 cultivators fighting for the Cloud Moon Saber in the air. Among them were some pretty strong experts. If Xiaoqin wanted to obtain the Cloud Moon Saber, he would have to spend a lot of time. Right now, the Cloud Moon Saber was being passed around. Before the cultivators who caught it could even grasp the saber handle, they would be focused on attacking. In less than a breath of time, they would toss aside their treasured sabers and flee, covered in injuries. Without strength that could shock everyone, no one could truly grasp the Cloud Moon Saber. How strong? If no one stops him, I'm afraid that Shifeng will be the first to truly grasp this saber. Emo-chan said softly after observing Shifeng's strength. It's not that simple. No one would watch him obtain the Cloud Moon Saber so easily. Xiaoqin did not make a move. However, he kept a strand of his spiritual sense on the Cloud Moon Saber. As long as Xiaoqin wanted to, he could use the fish dragon art to instantly arrive in front of the Cloud Moon Saber amid the chaos of 100,000 people. Furthermore, even if Xiaoqin did not make a move, no one would watch as Shifeng obtain the Cloud Moon Saber. Furthermore, even if Shifeng obtained it, he might not be able to draw it. Indeed, after Xiaoqin, the IC's young master Bishui, saw Shifeng make a move, he did not hesitate for long. With a flip, he leaped onto the snow horse. The horse galloped through the air. White snow fluttered in the air, and the temperature plummeted. A spear appeared in young Master Bishue's hand as he rode his horse and charged forward. No one could block a move from young Master Bishue. The moment they clashed, they were sent flying. The cold young Master Bishue was as sharp as a blade, bone-chilling. No one dared to get close. Even though young Master Bishue moved later, he arrived first. He was like an icy comet riding an ice horse, creating a crystalline path of wind and snow. He actually overtook Shi Feng, flying towards the person holding the cloud moon saber. "Hand it over!" Young Master Bishue shouted coldly, and his breath was like a sword. He swung his spear over, scaring the person holding the cloud moon saber into tossing the saber far away. The cloud moon saber spun as it flew, sending out faint moonlight, looking hazy and elegant. In the hazy moonlight, the undrawn cloud moon saber was like a proud woman watching coldly from the sidelines, watching all this. Coincidentally, the direction in which the cloud moon saber flew happened to be in Shi Feng's direction. Shi Feng laughed loudly and threw 2 palm strikes, knocking away the people who wanted to compete with him. Then, he grabbed the scabbard. "So what if you are fast? In the end, I will still be the one to draw the cloud moon saber." Shi Feng quickly grasped the saber hilt with his right hand and pulled. His expression changed slightly, but the treasure saber and the scabbard did not move at all. "How can this be? Could it be that I cannot draw this cloud moon saber?" Shi Feng did not have much time to think. A cold light burst out like starlight. Young Master Bishue's ice spear had already arrived, tearing through the air. Dang! The cloud moon saber was sent flying, soaring into the clouds. Shi Feng's expression changed slightly. He looked up, and a crazed expression appeared in his eyes. "No, I have to try again." Clang! Just as the two soared into the air and chased after the cloud moon saber, a resonant saber hum resounded in the world. The saber hum contained a sharp saber intent. It was like a sharp blade stabbing into the clouds. The Inferno Saber Sovereign's personal disciple stood up from the tall platform. At the same time, he drew the treasure saber at his waist. With this saber hum, the cloud moon saber, which was flying high into the sky, was quickly pulled over. Clang! 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 The many Saber Sovereign's personal disciples stood up and drew their sabers one after another. The saber hum was like a zither, each louder than the one before, sounding incredibly resonant. The cloud moon saber immediately drifted around in the air together with the saber intent. The few Saber Sovereign's descendants clashed with saber intent, fighting for the cloud moon saber. The sharp saber intent nearly turned solid as it clashed in the air. It formed a net of interweaving sword chi. Young Master Bishue and Shi Feng tried to charge over several times, but this vast sword intent forced them back. It had to be said that the Bladesmen held a great advantage in this fight. They truly live up to being Saber Sovereign's disciples. This saber intent is really terrifying. They probably already have a great perfection saber soul. They are really strong. Even young Master Bishue and Shi Feng do not dare to clash head-on with such sharpness. Quick, look! When Zion is going to make a move. A startled cry attracted everyone's attention. Although there were many disciples of the Saber Sovereign here, they were all extremely powerful. Although there were many Saber Sovereign's disciples present, they were all Inferno Saber Sovereign, Flame Saber Sovereign, and alike. Only Wu Xiaotian dared to call himself the Saber Sovereign. As for Wen Ziren, he was the personal disciple that Wu Xiaotian was most proud of. When he drew his saber, the sound of the saber was not the loudest, but it was the one that penetrated deep into the hearts of the people. As Xiao Chan drew his saber, the sound of his saber being unsheathed rang in the ears of many cultivators. The saber intent of the other Saber Sovereign's disciples could not be felt at all. It was completely suppressed. This startled Xiao Chun, and an expression of understanding appeared in his eyes. His bladesman's intuition told him that when Ziren had already comprehended a saber domain. Under the brim of the hat, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Xiao Qin had promised Wen Xiren that the two of them would fight in the future. Since Wen Xiren had comprehended a saber domain, then this battle was worth looking forward to. As Xiao Chan expected, after Wen Xiren drew his saber, the expressions of the other 9 bladesmen changed drastically. The clashing saber intents in the air stopped listening to Xiao Chen's commands and broke off. The Cloud Moon saber was like a magnet, flying towards Wen Xiren like a meteor. This made the expressions of the other 9 saber sovereign disciples change. By relying on his own strength, Wen Xiren forcefully outclassed all of them. There was only one explanation for such might. He had comprehended a saber domain, but the saber's sovereign disciples did not. Whoosh! Just as Wen Xiren was about to grasp the Cloud Moon saber, the Dongyue Ghost Emperor's descendant, Xiezi Xuan, stood up and smiled faintly. Like a phantom, Xiao Chan flickered and appeared in front of Wen Xiren. "It is not your turn to make a move yet," Xiezi Xuan said indifferently. Then, he stretched out his hand and thrust his sword at Wen Xiren. Wen Xiren had no choice but to move back quickly. This sword strike of Xiezi Xuan could not be underestimated. If Wen Xiren continued to snatch the Cloud Moon saber, he would have to pay a high price. It was not worth it. Xingju, who was beside Tian Yushi, smiled faintly. Then his figure flashed, and the Cloud Moon saber appeared in his hand. "Xiaoju, Feng Wuji, the two of you help guard me as well. Cloud Moon saber, let's see what tricks you have up your sleeves." Xiaoju and Feng Wuji stood up at the same time. Together with Xiezi Xuan, the 3 of them each guarded a direction. Immediately, everyone became excited, wanting to charge forward and snatch the Cloud Moon saber back. Tianyu, she snorted coldly in unison and said, "Whoever dares to mess around will become enemies with my deity, Dao Union." As she spoke, she used the mental energy technique of the deity race. Her cold tone struck directly at the heart, creating a strong deterrent. Xiao Qin's heart turned chaotic. He could not help taking a step forward. "Don't. It is not time to reveal himself yet. He might not be able to draw it out." Chapter 1347. Imo-chun pulled on Xiao Qin's arm, fearing that he would act rashly. She did not want him to show himself so early. It was clearly not wise for Yu Bingyan to show herself now and clash with the deity Dao Union. Xiao Qin endured and took a step back. After a while, he stepped forward again and struggled free of Imo-chen's arm. That was right. The Cloud Moon saber would not be drawn so easily. However, once it was drawn, Xiao Chan would no longer have a chance to change this result. Yu Bingyan's fate would be set in stone. This result would make Xiao Chan regret it for the rest of his life, a grudge he would never be able to let go of. Xiao Chan brought Imo-chun here so that she could use reason to suppress her impulsiveness. However, it looked like there was no need. In life, one had to be more impulsive in some things. Under certain circumstances, absolute rationality and cool-headedness were not a good thing. Xiao Chan grabbed Imo-chen's arm and turned his head back to smile at her. "There's no need to be nervous. From the very start, I did not have any idea how to deal with this lunar palace. I have no plan at all. Even now, I do not know where to start. The initiative lies entirely in Tianyu Shi's hands. This is not what I want. Hesitating and fearing this, and that is not my character." At this moment, Xiao Chan faced his true self. His chaotic thoughts were quickly severed by the saber, allowing him to see them clearly. Imo-chun asked worriedly, "What about you?" Xiao Chun smiled and said, "Don't be afraid. I only saw my true self clearly. I might be rash, but that does not mean that I will not act rashly on the platform." When Tianyu Shi and the others made a move, no one dared to move. The deity Dao Union's might and tyranny were clear for all to see. While everyone felt upset, they could not do anything about it. Yu Bingyun felt a slight pain in her heart. She gently bit her lower lip, and tears seemed to well up in her eyes. Tianyu Shi glanced at her and felt somewhat happy. He said, "Xingju, what are you waiting for? Quickly draw the Cloud Moon saber and fulfill the holy daughter Bingyun's wish." Yu Bingyun's expression sank. She said coldly, "Tianyu Shi, don't go overboard." Tianyu Shi laughed and said, "Am I going overboard? You said the rules." Whoever has the ability can be the first to draw his sword. The Lunar Palace's Vice Palace Master also said that as long as one can draw this Cloud Moon Saber, they can marry into the Lunar Palace. Xingju held the Cloud Moon Saber and played with it for a while. Then, he said casually, "Not bad. This is indeed a rare treasure saber." The moon hides in the clouds, looking very proud. When Xiren frowned slightly, Xingju was not a bladesman at all. If Xingju wanted to draw his saber, there was only one way, to forcefully subdue this saber. If it was anyone else, it definitely wouldn't work. However, Xingju was the descendant of a supreme martial artist. Furthermore, he had trained in the star battlefield, and his strength was unfathomable. Everything was hard to say. If such a person managed to draw the Cloud Moon Saber, it would be a great regret. The cultivators present were also unconvinced by the tyranny of the deity Dao Union, their faces filled with dissatisfaction. Xingju placed his hand on the saber's hilt and showed a grave expression. He did not get careless at all. Xiao Chan brought out all his vital qi and released his aura. Strands of hazy emperors might spread out from his body. That was the aura that Xiao Chan obtained after killing the other Emperor Wu. It already had the vague form of Emperor's might. Boom! A strong wind blew, and the clouds churned. The sky suddenly turned dark. A golden full moon was faintly discernible amidst the clouds and moon, aloof and cold. "Come out!" Xingju shouted, and the aura on his body rose to its peak. A terrifying aura spread out, causing everyone to feel a deep sense of fear. How strong? Rumor has it that he killed Emperor Wu. It looks like it is true. The deity Dao Union is truly strong. To think that it has such an outstanding talent. Compared to him, the holy scions of our heavenly starry ocean seem weaker. I don't know if I can pull it out. The atmosphere of the place turned extremely tense. Everyone knew that Xingju was forcefully subduing the Cloud Moon Saber. The result was very important. Everyone held their breath, waiting in anticipation. The outstanding talents and the descendants of the Saber Sovereigns all felt dissatisfied in their hearts, cursing in their hearts. They cursed Xingju for failing, for not being able to draw the Cloud Moon Saber. Kassier. However, the curses did not seem to work. Xingju forcibly drew the Cloud Moon Saber by 1 centimeter. A flash of dazzling bright moonlight spread out. A strong divine might surged out, and a strong wind blew, making it hard for everyone to open their eyes. Many of the weaker ones were blown into the air by the gale formed by the god's might. The atmosphere of the place immediately turned even more chaotic. Under the hat, Xiao Chun narrowed his eyes. He gently shifted his body and shielded Emo Chun, helping her block the might of the divine weapon. Xiao Chun thought to himself, "This divine weapon is truly incredible. It only drew the Cloud Moon Saber by 1 centimeter, and it already has such might. If Xiao Chun drew the Cloud Moon Saber completely, that would be incredible. Then, he could use it together with the Wind Shadow Sword. What kind of scene would that be? He simply did not dare to imagine it. *T, it's over. Don't tell me he really pulled them all out. This fellow's aura is very strong. This is incredible. Damn it. No matter what, we can't let an outsider marry the holy daughter." All sorts of discussions entered Xingju's ears. He felt very cocky, and his lips curled up slightly. His aura turned sharp again. Xingju's hairband shattered, and his long hair fluttered messily. Cracks appeared on the ground. His expression was grim and ferocious. Clearly, it was not easy to continue drawing the Cloud Moon Saber by 1 centimeter. On the contrary, it was very strenuous, somewhat forceful. Buzz! After the Cloud Moon Saber was drawn out again, Xingju guffawed and said, "The Lunar Palace's disciples are as pretty as flowers. However, it looks like their strength and talent are indeed slightly inferior." Everyone's hearts sank, and a look of disappointment appeared on their faces. No one had expected this. No one had expected Xingju to be so incredible. He was really going to forcefully subdue the Cloud Moon Saber. As long as nothing unexpected happened, Xingju would definitely draw the Cloud Moon Saber in its entirety. Tianyu, she revealed a smile on his face. As long as Xingju drew the Cloud Moon Saber, the deity Dao Union would be confident of taking down the Lunar Palace. Even if the Lunar Palace's palace master was not willing, without a transcendent divine weapon that could work together, the Lunar Palace would not have the confidence to continue challenging the deity Dao Union. However, just at this moment, a sharp saber intent suddenly burst out from the chaotic crowd below the platform. It covered the sky like a tsunami surging forward. Boom! The people in front of Xiao Chun could not resist at all. This saber intent immediately blew them into pieces, sending them flying in all directions while screaming. Instantly, a large empty space appeared in front of Xiao Chun. The chaotic and crowded scene turned empty. The vast saber intent was like a horrifying wave, surging towards the platform without stopping. This saber intent could not completely seal it. It penetrated through every opening and bore through every hole. Xingju, who was focused on driving all the energy in his body to forcefully subdue the Cloud Moon Saber, had not reacted yet. He only saw the Cloud Moon Saber in his hand suddenly struggle several times more intensely. What's going on? Steady yourself. Xingju's feet sank as he grasped the Cloud Moon Saber with both hands, doing his best to prevent it from struggling free. When the saber intent from Xiao Chun arrived, the Cloud Moon Saber's struggle reached its limit. Bang! The Cloud Moon Saber struggled free of Xingju's hand with a huge force. A huge force bounced back from the scabbard, knocking Xingju back and making him vomit blood. No! Before Xingju's dissatisfied gaze, the Cloud Moon Saber flew towards Xiao Chun at lightning speed. She looked like a woman who had seen her lover and couldn't wait to meet him. Xiao Chun stretched out his hand and happened to grab the Cloud Moon Saber's scabbard. The treasure saber kicked up a strong wind, causing Xiao Chun's clothes to flutter loudly. This sudden scene stunned everyone. Everyone thought that the divine weapon unveiling ceremony was about to end. However, a mysterious person suddenly appeared and burst out with a strong saber intent, snatching the Cloud Moon Saber from Xingju's hand. Who is it? Yu Bingyin stood up from her seat in shock. Her gaze seemed to pierce through the thick hat and see the appearance of this mysterious person. It was not just her. Everyone in Bright Moon Plaza felt curious. Who was so bold to take the risk of offending the deity Dao Union and jump out at this moment? Chapter 1348. Of the 100,000-odd cultivators present, the ones who were the most shocked and astonished were naturally the 10 Bladesmen's personal disciples. As Bladesmen, they understood better than ordinary people the pressure brought by the surging saber technique earlier. This was especially so for Wenziren. His expression changed drastically, and heavy astonishment flashed on his face. Who is this person? The incredibly chaotic Bright Moon Plaza immediately turned quiet. Everyone's gaze focused on the hand of this mysterious person wearing a hat. Tian Yushi frowned slightly, feeling suspicious in her heart. This person seemed somewhat familiar. However, she could not be sure if he was the person she guessed. Xingju took 3 steps back, showing both shock and rage on his face. He asked with a sullen expression, "Is he Xiao Chun?" After not seeing Xiao Chun for several years, Xingju was even more uncertain than Tian Yushi. Xiao Hoju shook his head and said, "His physique is similar. However, how could Xiao Chun come to Bright Moon City? He did not even enter the city. Even if he covered his face, he would still have to be checked when he entered the city." Feng Wuji nodded and said, "It is not difficult to sneak in. However, the Bright Moon Palace's palace master already made it clear that she does not welcome him. If he really did sneak in, the consequences would be even worse. Xiao Chun should understand this." Xie Zishuan smiled coldly and said, "What is the point of thinking so much? Whether he is or not, we just have to remove the hat on his head. Isn't that simple?" As the sound of his voice faded, Xie Zishuan's figure was like a ghost, and as he drifted, he brought along a field of blurry, ghostly shadows. With every step he took, he left behind a ghostly image. When the ghostly images landed, they would roar and roar. Thousands of ghostly images flashed, giving off sharp, miserable shrieks that turned into strange and horrifying sound waves. When Xie Zishuan's true body arrived before Shao Chun, the thousands of ghostly images roared and merged into one. Then, they turned into a 3-kilometer-tall, malicious spirit of hell behind Xie Zishuan. It opened its bloody mouth and roared at Shao Chun. Yaya! The sound waves formed a tornado, fierce and unparalleled. The sound was sharp and ferocious. The scariest thing was that it could enter the sea of consciousness and cause a mental attack. This ghost Shadow Steps was not only fast, but it also had many abilities. The moment it appeared, it caused countless spectators to exclaim in shock. The instant the malicious spirit roared, Xie Zishuan narrowed his eyes. The sword in his hand moved like a venomous snake, stabbing towards his chest. Shao Chen's movement technique and his martial technique worked together seamlessly, flawlessly. If a Pete Quasi-Emperor were to face this attack, their hearts would be pierced through and they would die instantly. Unfortunately, this Shao Chun ran into Shao Chun. The malicious spirit's mental attack invaded Shao Chen's sea of consciousness. It bared its fangs and claws, about to unleash its might. In the depths of Shao Chen's consciousness, the green-clothed Dharma incarnation with a frightening evil aura opened its eyes and shot out a boundless killing intent. The spirit of the evil ghost was terrified. The azure-robed Dharmic incarnation in the depths of the sea of consciousness did not stop, either. Shao Chun executed the fish dragon art. Immediately, the azure-robed Dharmic incarnation chopped down with one saber strike. Shao Chun executed the fish dragon art. Immediately, he was like a fish in water. Shao Chen's body moved slightly, like a fish swaying its tail in the water. It looked like the sword was about to strike Shao Chun. This startled everyone into taking a deep breath. However, in the next moment, they discovered that the sword only brushed past Shao Chen's body. Fast! Fish dragon art, blue dragon goes to sea, clouds scatter. Shao Chen's aura changed. He became like a dragon going to sea, breaking out of the water. His cultivation went from slow to fast. Shao Chen's figure flashed forward, and he swung the cloud moon saber, still in its scabbard, at Xie Zishuan's face. Pa! The ferocious and unpredictable Xie Zishuan did not even manage to touch Shao Chen's clothes before he was sent flying. What movement technique is this? Xie Zishuan's ghostly shadow steps already stunned the entire place, inspiring horror. However, this mysterious person's movement technique was clearly superior. Xie Zishuan, who wanted to show off his movement technique, ended up getting showcased instead. This was a genuine showdown. The wound on his face was the mark of Xie Zishuan's humiliation. Kill him, Xing Ju shouted coldly. Whether this person was Shao Chun or not, he was now their greatest enemy. Slapping Xie Zishuan's face was equivalent to slapping the deity Dao Yunyan's face. They needed to retaliate. With a ferocious roar, Xing Ju's clothes tore apart, revealing a robust golden body. That golden body flickered with light. His bulging muscles contained a stifling force. Bang! Standing where he was, Xing Ju punched. The energy tore through the air, heading for Shao Chun. The force of this punch caused the surrounding space to tremble slightly. Shao Chun thought to himself, this Xing Ju truly lives up to being the disciple of the heaven-punishing corpse god. In terms of physical strength, he already surpasses me slightly. However, that is fine. The other party is an outstanding talent that mainly cultivates the physical body. Furthermore, he has a master who became a prime with his physical body. There is no need to compete with him in physical strength. The Cloud Moon Saber's scabbard gently pushed against the energy. Shao Chen's white robes fluttered as he used the momentum to fly up, easily dodging that energy. His figure looked very graceful. After the punch, Xing Ju and the other two charged over with ferocious auras, surging with killing chi. They instantly surrounded Shao Chun. They all executed their best moves, showing no mercy. However, when facing such a storm-like attack, the four could not even touch a corner of Shao Chen's clothes. It was like they were trying to catch fish in the water. Instead, they were being toyed with. This fellow is too strong. Let's force the cloud moon saber out of his hand first. If he has the chance, he will definitely draw it. A descendant of a saber sovereign on the platform suggested. The other outstanding talents exchanged glances and nodded. Then, they got up and flew over, joining the group surrounding Xiao Chun. When Xiren hesitated for a moment, after thinking about it, he charged over as well. Such an expert of the Saber Dao was a rare opportunity. If he did not make a move, he would be itching to make a move. Rumble! Immediately, aside from Chu Yang, Di Xinhan, and the other holy scions, who were purely watching the excitement, the other people who wanted the Holy Daughter all joined the group surrounding Xiao Chun. Even if they could not defeat this fellow quickly, they absolutely could not give him the time to draw the Cloud Moon Saber, preventing him from stopping. However, these people did not know that Xiao Chun was already smiling widely in his heart. Only those people from the deity Dao Union surrounding him would be somewhat problematic for him. After all, the other party was from the same faction. Their cooperation was rather perfect, and their strength was not low, either. However, if these people surrounded him, not only would they not be able to cooperate, but they would even restrict each other, even injuring each other. The Taiji Dao was best at fighting against many with few, leveraging force to fight. These people wanted to prevent Xiao Chun from stopping. However, this was exactly what they wanted, giving Xiao Chun a chance. Damn it, you injured me. Scram, you're clearly the one who injured me first, all right? I just lost control and did not control my strength well. I did not do it on purpose. Damn, which bastard attacked me while I was speaking? Scram, bunch of trash. Scram as far as you can. Xingju discovered that he could not even see Xiao Chen's figure. Furthermore, there were many wounds on his upper body. This angered Xingju so much that he roared loudly and charged at the two people beside him. It would have been fine if Xiao Chun had not made a move. The moment he made a move, the scene immediately turned even more chaotic. Amid the chaos, Xingju's dazzling golden body was the best target, the center of the chaos. The situation immediately fell into a vicious cycle. The angrier Xingju got, the heavier his attacks became, and the more chaotic the situation became. As for Xingju, who was in the center, his dazzling golden body was already covered in blood. It was a tragic sight, completely losing its initial breathtaking look. All of you stop. The person is already gone. Why are you still attacking me? With so many Saber Sovereign's descendants and outstanding talents attacks, even someone with a refined physical body would not be able to endure. That's right. Where did that mysterious person go? Where is he? Where is he? All of you stop. Look around. Look around. Initially, this group of people attacked individually amid the chaos, unable to stop it all. Now, they suddenly discovered that the person they wanted to surround and attack had disappeared at some point in time. They wanted to prevent Xiao Chun from stopping, but their group ended up in a mess instead. Over there, Xingju narrowed his eyes and found Xiao Chen's figure. Then, he instantly charged over. Xiao Chen's exposed upper body was a tragic sight, covered in wounds. His hair was disheveled, and there were some tattered clothes on his body. He no longer had the air of an outstanding talent or a descendant of a prime. He looked like a miserable beggar, heart-wrenching and pitiful. The group followed Xingju's gaze and saw that Xiao Chun had already appeared several kilometers away at some point in time. Xiao Chun held his saber horizontally in front of him, his right hand grasping the lunar shadow saber's hilt. A sense of shame and humiliation welled up in everyone's hearts. They had been played too ruthlessly. Seeing that the mysterious person was about to draw his saber, Tianyu, she became utterly flustered. She stood on the tall platform and shouted, "Cultivators present, as long as anyone can touch the corner of this person's clothes, my deity Dao Union will reward them with 10,000 essence stones." The moment Xiao Chun spoke, all the 100,000 cultivators present exclaimed at the same time. 10,000 essence stones for touching the corner of Xiao Chen's clothes? If this was not giving away money, what was? Tian Yushi's heart bled. However, at this point, she had no choice but to use this method to interfere with the mysterious person drawing his saber. Attack! At Tian Yushi's words, the 100,000 cultivators all went crazy. They quickly flew towards Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun smiled faintly. Then, he grasped the saber's hilt and casually swung it. An incredible scene appeared. Xingju used all his vital qi and could barely draw the Cloud Moon Saber by 1 centimeter. However, in Xiao Chen's hand, he managed to draw it halfway. Night fell, and the moon hid in the clouds. In the night, Xiao Chun released a light from his body. He looked like a moon palace that fell to the mortal realm, cold and aloof. The bright moon hidden in the clouds seemed to be attracted by the light from Xiao Chen's body and leaped out. The 2 moons in the sky and on the ground merged. The might of the divine weapon surged out. In front of the might of this divine weapon, the 100,000 martial artists that were charging over were all blown away, screaming incessantly. Now, only Xiao Chun remained in the vast bright moon plaza. When the 2 moons merged, the supreme elegance of drawing the Cloud Moon Saber halfway deeply shocked everyone. As Xiao Chun grasped the saber hilt, she felt enlightened. Suddenly, these words appeared in her mind. I am a bright moon, a lone flower admiring itself. This saber was prepared for me, Xiao Chun muttered to herself. Then, she prepared to draw the remaining half of the Cloud Moon Saber. However, just at this moment, a divine light appeared. The sun shone, and the sky brightened again. Chapter 1349. The originally dark scene, with only the bright moon illuminating the land, was suddenly illuminated by a beam of divine light. Closely following that, the sky turned bright, and light reappeared. A clump of golden light appeared in the sky. That light was even more dazzling than the sun. However, it warmed one's heart and made one feel happy. One would feel an indescribable carelessness and a willingness to approach it. The sudden appearance of this light immediately disrupted Xiao Chen's state of mind. He had been about to draw the divine weapon. Huang Dang. The Cloud Moon Saber returned to its scabbard, and its divine might scattered. Such a situation was truly unexpected. Xiao Chun had not expected someone to pull the wool over his eyes, turning night into day. The divine weapon bounced back and flew out of Xiao Chen's hand. He took 3 steps back, and his complexion paled slightly. When one drew the saber, one's mind, qi, and spirit were all connected to the divine weapon. The might of the divine weapon's rebound was not weak at all. Earlier, Xingju vomited blood and retreated frantically. Although Xiao Chen's injuries were not that severe, his qi and blood surged, and his sea of consciousness shook. This was unavoidable. After a while, Xiao Chen recovered. He squinted and peered through his hat. His expression changed slightly. There was a person hidden in that clump of golden light. Just by looking at the silhouette, Xiao Chen could immediately recognize that it was the deity race's Diwuk. Whoosh! While Xiao Chen was distracted, Diwuk stretched out his hand, and the Cloud Moon Saber flew into his grasp. When the light scattered, Diwuk's true appearance was revealed. His handsome facial features were like those of a deity, exquisitely sculpted and boundlessly charming. Up on the high platform, Tian Yushi's face lit up with joy. At the crucial moment, the divine sun, Diwuk, finally appeared. Xingju and Xiezi Xuan looked at Diwuk in the air, somewhat stunned. Originally, they thought that this Diwuk would not come. Who could have imagined that at the critical moment, he really managed to rush over? Who is this person? What a powerful aura. He already has the temperament of a big shot. He is Diwuk. His name has already spread throughout the Kunlun continent. Someone exclaimed in shock when he recognized Diwuk. Diwuk? Why is he joining in on the fun? Doesn't he already have a goddess? Who knows? It is a common thing for experts to marry 1 or 2 women in the Kunlun realm. There is nothing strange about it. If he encounters that mysterious man, I wonder who will be the stronger one. Because of Diwuk's appearance, the originally quiet bright moon square suddenly became lively again. The discussions went on and on. In the air, Diwuk looked down like a deity. His lips curled up slightly as he said, Azure Dragon King Xiao Chun, since you're already here, why the need to be so secretive? Do you think you can hide your identity by wearing a hat? The moment Diwuk said that, everyone exclaimed softly. As they looked at Xiao Chun, their gazes filled with incredulity. Is he really Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun? How can he be so bold? The Lunar Palace already said that Bright Moon City would not welcome him. To think that he still dares to appear. Up on the tall platform, Yu Bingyan already stood at the edge, staring at Xiao Chun without blinking. It was like she wanted to see through him. Xiao Chun was mildly startled. He had already covered himself with his spiritual sense. If someone wanted to use their mental energy to see his appearance, they would only see a blurry image. They would only see a blurry image, unable to see anything clearly and unable to determine his identity. However, when Diwuk appeared, he immediately figured out Xiao Chen's identity. There was only one answer. That was that Diwuk's mental energy cultivation already surpassed Xiao Chen's, one grade higher. Not admitting it? In that case, I'll help you remove this hat. Let's see if I, Diwuk, am wrong. Seeing that Xiao Chun did not say anything, Diwuk smiled coldly, and his figure suddenly vanished. In the next moment, light gathered in front of Xiao Chun and formed a figure. Based on that appearance, it was Diwuk's true body. What fast speed! Xiao Chen's strange and fast movement technique stunned everyone. Everyone could not help exclaiming softly. Xiao Chun moved at lightning speed, immediately removing the hat on Xiao Chen's head. His movements were as smooth as flowing water, not pausing at all. This movement technique was so fast that it looked like teleportation, catching Xiao Chun somewhat off guard. However, Xiao Chun reacted very quickly. His figure flashed, and he moved like a spirit fish swinging its tail. In an instant, he arrived behind Diwuk. Before Xiao Chun could retract his hand, Xiao Chun moved behind him and snatched the hat away. Didn't anyone tell you that you should be polite? The smile on Diwuk's face froze. He quickly turned around and retreated. However, Xiao Chun chased after him like a shadow, snatching the cloud moon saber from his hand. Bang! 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 The two's figures quickly turned illusory in the plaza. Diwuk was like light, scattering and gathering and scattering again. No one could figure out his trajectory at all. As for Xiao Chun, he was unpredictable. He moved nimbly between fast and slow. No matter how unpredictable Diwuk's movement technique was, Xiao Chun could always change his trajectory at any time, sticking close to the other party. For a moment, the scene was filled with colorful lights and dazzling lights. A strong aura burst out in all directions, causing cracks to appear in the space around them. The focus of the fight was the cloud moon saber, which spun continuously in the air. No one could keep a firm grip on it. The spectators felt an upheaval in their hearts. Unexpectedly, the fight would be so intense. Originally, everyone thought that Diwuk's sudden removal of the mysterious person's hat would be sufficient to decide the outcome. Who could have imagined that the mysterious person's countenance would immediately change? Not only did he snatch the hat back, but he also fought so hard that it was hard to tell who would win. 1 hour later, the two revealed themselves at the same time. They stopped fighting and looked at each other. The two each held one end of the cloud moon saber. Diwuk held the hilt, while Xiao Chun held the end of the scabbard. Diwuk appeared calm. He smiled faintly and said, "Right now, I'm holding the hilt. Do you think you still have chance?" Under the hat, Xiao Chun smiled faintly and said, "If I give you a chance, do you dare to pull it out?" The moment Xiao Chun said that, everyone immediately looked at the divine daughter, Tian Yushi. Indeed, they saw that Tian Yushi's expression was somewhat unsightly. "Who told you that I don't dare to pull it out?" Diwuk smiled faintly, and a light even more dazzling than the sun burst out from his body. The saber trembled intensely. A strong wind blew, and the sea of clouds churned. This startling aura seemed to force Xiao Chun back. "Is that so? Don't be too naive." Xiao Chen's tone turned sullen. Night descended above his head, and the moon hid in the clouds. An extremely strong saber, intense, spread out from his body. Buzz! 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 When the cloud moon saber felt this aura, it trembled even more intensely. No matter how hard Diwuk tried, he could not pull out at all. Half of the world was night, and the other half was day, a clear distinction. The two clashed, neither giving way. They both wanted to force the other back and hold the Cloud Moon Saber in their hands. This wondrous scene was an eye-opener for everyone, inspiring praise in their hearts. Be it Diwook or that mysterious person, they were so strong that everyone sighed in amazement. Everyone had to admit that they were inferior. The stalemate attracted everyone's attention, not just the cultivators present. Many of the Lunar Palace's elders focused their gazes on these two. The Lunar Palace's Vice Palace Master, who was on the high platform, frowned slightly. She did not wish for Diwook to draw the Cloud Moon Saber. The Lunar Palace's Vice Palace Master had forged this divine weapon for the sake of preserving the Lunar Palace's independence. However, if Diwook drew it, the Lunar Palace would not be able to go against the Vice Palace's Vice Palace Master. Now, Diwook grasped the saber's hilt, holding a clear advantage. The situation did not look good. Yu Bingyun's heart also started to feel nervous. She knew that if Diwook really drew it, even if her master was not willing, she would definitely fulfill her promise. Firstly, she could not take back what she said. Secondly, the Cloud Moon Saber and the Wind Shadow Sword concerned the Lunar Palace's survival, whether they could survive the demonic calamity or not. Chapter 1350. Half was day, and the other was night. One held the saber hilt, and the other held the end of the scabbard. It was clear who held the advantage. Diwook was on the offensive, trying to draw the Cloud Moon Saber. As for Xiao Chun, he was at the end and could only defend, using his strong saber technique to forcibly delay the other party. Fortunately, Xiao Chun comprehended the saber domain and grasped saber energy. Otherwise, if it were anyone else in Xiao Chun's position, they would not last long against an opponent like Diwook. It was even possible that Xiao Chun would only last a few seconds before being defeated. Even so, Xiao Chun found this extremely unbearable, being in a very passive position. The most important thing was still Diwook's sudden appearance earlier, illuminating the night with divine light. This caused the divine weapon to rebound and injure Xiao Chun, snatching the initiative. After not seeing him for 5 years, this Diwook's strength somewhat surpassed Xiao Chun's expectations. The other party had not advanced to martial emperor yet, and had not condensed a heart of an emperor. However, he already clearly had the emperor's might, heavy and withdrawn. This was not strange. Xiao Chun could obtain the Blood Sword Sovereign's inheritance and condense a heart of an emperor in advance. The deity race had deep accumulations. It was possible that they did not have similar inheritances. As long as one was talented enough, one could comprehend them as well. Let go. Give me a chance, and I will definitely draw this saber. However, ask yourself, if you were given a chance, will you really draw this Cloud Moon Saber? Diwook suddenly said. His eyes narrowed into a line and turned into a saber. Then, his gaze pierced at Xiao Chun with an incredibly sharp gaze. Under the hat, Xiao Chun's expression remained calm, not fluctuating at all. He said indifferently, "You do not understand." That was right. Xiao Chun had not really thought of drawing the Cloud Moon Saber. If not for that moment of hesitation in his heart, he would not have drawn it. If not for that moment of hesitation in his heart, he would not have given Diwook a chance to injure him and prevent him from drawing the Cloud Moon Saber. However, since Yu Bingyun begged him, giving him the bright jade fan and letting him enter Bright Moon City, he needed to stop this divine weapon unveiling ceremony. No matter what the sect did, it could not sacrifice a woman's happiness. If this person had nothing to do with Xiao Chun, he would not meddle in other people's business. However, Yu Bingyun was different. She was a friend who had gone through thick and thin with him. A friend who had gone through thick and thin with him. Since his friend had spoken, he would naturally be willing to go through fire and water for him. When he arrived at Bright Moon City, Xiao Chun had already thought everything through. He was not begging the Lunar Palace to stand on the Dragon's Gate side or preventing the deity Dao Union from obtaining the Lunar Palace's support. His purpose was simple. He just wanted to help his friend when he was in trouble. That was how it was to face one's heart. Day versus night. The bright moon versus the great sun. From the very beginning, this was not a fair fight. Firstly, it was daytime at the moment, and Diwook occupied the time of day. Secondly, he was holding the hilt of the saber, while Xiao Chun was holding the tail of the saber. With the two factors added together, the situation was really too disadvantageous for Xiao Chun. If Xiao Chun were in Diwuk's position, he would be able to draw the Cloud Moon Saber in a few breaths. Kassiye. Xiao Chun drew the Cloud Moon Saber by 1 centimeter. The saber light was dazzling, and Diwuk's aura soared. The white clouds above pressed forward, pushing back the night sky above Xiao Chun by 1 kilometer. The crowd let out startled cries. Yu Bingyin covered her mouth, somewhat unable to bear to watch. This saber light dazzled everyone's eyes and also pierced many people's hearts. Diwuk smiled faintly and started attacking with his words. It looks like I will be able to taste the Holy Daughter soon. After I taste it, I will definitely tell you. The moment Xiao Chun said that, the expressions of several people immediately turned sullen. Rage burned in Xiao Chen's heart, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Then, the spread-out saber domain quickly gathered back together. Clouds churned in the night sky, representing Xiao Chen's rage. They pounced over like a ferocious monster. Diwuk did not panic. He said indifferently, "It's useless. I already nurtured a divine spirit in my sea of consciousness. In terms of aura, you cannot compare to me. You don't know how I managed to get through these 5 years." Suddenly, the white sky above Xiao Chen's head gathered and turned into a huge deity. The deity held a sharp sword and swung it down ferociously. It immediately knocked back the ferocious beast formed by the night sky. Boom! Suddenly, 9 fire dragons of different colors appeared above Diwuk's head, roaring as they flew at him. It was Mo Chun charging over while holding the Book of Heavenly Works. "You are seeking death." Without needing Diwuk to make a move, Xingju snorted coldly and soared into the sky. Then, he threw 9 punches and easily broke the fire dragons. After that, Xiao Chun punched at Mo Chun. The force was so great that the entire sky trembled. The force transmitted through the formless air, causing the vast Bright Moon Plaza to shake violently. Rumble! Countless buildings shook left and right, looking like they would collapse at any moment. Xingju felt a fire burning in his chest. Just as he had nowhere to vent it, Mo Chun jumped out and happened to run right into him. As a descendant of a prime, the gap between Mo Chun and Xingju was clear. Even though Xiao Chun did his best to block, this punch still knocked Mo Chun down from the sky. Her complexion paled, and her veil turned bright red. That was not all. As Xingju walked over, it looked like he had no intention of stopping. Xiao Chun felt a pang in his heart. He immediately prepared to let go, to give up on fighting with Diwuk and rush to save Mo Chun. However, just as Xiao Chun was about to let go, a heavy killing intent burst out from Diwuk's body, firmly locking onto Xiao Chun. As long as Xiao Chun let go and his aura weakened, Diwuk would quickly follow up and severely injure him at lightning speed. Right now, the two were fighting at a crucial moment. Whoever let go would have their aura plummet to rock bottom. However, in Xiao Chen's opinion, if he let go, the other party would focus on drawing his saber. Unexpectedly, the other party was so ruthless. The moment he found an opportunity, he immediately wanted to kill Xiao Chun. "Diwuk, don't go overboard." Xiao Chun roared angrily as he narrowed his eyes. Diwuk smiled coldly and said, "Unexpectedly, your heart of innocence still has not changed. How laughable. Do you still not understand? Right now, in the Kunlun realm, only you and I have a chance to fight for the Luck Child. With such a heart, how are you going to be the Luck Child? Your weakness is so obvious. What qualifications do you have to lead the entire Kunlun realm?" Xiao Chun ignored Xiao Chun. He focused all his attention on Xingju. The other party got closer and closer to Mo Chun. Damn it! Xiao Chun cursed in his heart. Then, he did not hesitate to let go. The instant Xiao Chun let go, the blue dragon battle armor instantly condensed, covering every part of his body from top to bottom. Xiao Chen's figure turned into a dragon and broke out of the sea, moving like a meteor. However, while Xiao Chun was fast, Diwuk, who had been staring at him, was even faster. The white sun above swept out, sweeping away the darkness that Xiao Chen gathered. Xiao Chun stepped forward and thrust the scabbard of the cloud moon saber forward. The precise timing struck Xiao Chun, who was in the air, heavily striking Xiao Chen's chest. Even with the protection of the blue dragon battle armor, a hole still opened in Xiao Chen's chest. Blood flowed endlessly. Although Xiao Chun was severely injured, he used the force of this strike to move his body and shield Mo Chun. Facing the strong wind, Xiao Chun circulated all the primordial energy in his body and punched at his fastest speed, blocking Xing Ju's attack. Boom! The two fists clashed. Xiao Chun, who had condensed the blue dragon battle armor, did not take a step back. However, he directly knocked Xing Ju into the air. Compared to Di Wux's incredible improvement, Xing Ju was still weaker. "Are you all right?" Xiao Chun asked softly as he quickly helped Mo Chun up, ignoring his injuries. Mo Chun smiled bitterly and said, "He can't kill me. Why are you so stupid? I have managed Heavenly Star Island for so many years. I definitely have some life-saving secret treasures." Xiao Chun now understood. However, it did not matter. Even if Xiao Chun could not kill Mo Chun, the punch that landed on her would still hurt. Since Xiao Chun brought Mo Chun out, he had to ensure that she would not get hurt. "Ha ha! You truly live up to being the Blue Dragon King, Xiao Chun. You are indeed loyal. However, you will still suffer a crushing defeat today. This cloud moon saber is mine." Di Wuk laughed heartily. He grasped the scabbard with his left hand and the hilt with his right. Then, he pointed the saber at the sky, intending to draw it. "Do you really think that I can't do anything to you?" Xiao Chun showed a cold expression as he helped Mo chin up. Then, he removed the hood on his head and casually tossed it away. "It's not that I can't do anything to you. I just don't want to completely expose my identity." His white robes and white hair were spotless. His heart was pure and filled with killing intent. Chapter 1351. When Xiao Chun removed his hood, his white hair fluttered. A cool breeze blew, revealing that delicate and handsome face. Everyone exclaimed softly, "It really is him, Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun. To think that he dares to come to Bright Moon City. How bold of him." It turns out that Di Wuk was right. Now that I think about it, who else could have such a saber move aside from the white-robed bladesman? However, it seems like there's no other way. Di Wuk already has complete control over the cloud moon saber. No one can stop him. Xiao Chen's appearance caused a huge commotion. All the cultivators in Bright Moon Plaza, disgusted and shocked. However, at the same time, they did not think much of Xiao Chen's current situation. The reason was none other than Di Wuk's strength speaking for itself. Now that he controlled the cloud moon saber, who could stop him from drawing it? Up on the tall platform, Yu Bingyun gently bit her lip. Tears welled up in her pretty eyes. Regardless of whether he succeeded or not, Xiao Chun still took the risk to come to Bright Moon City just for her. "Xiao Chun, so it really is you." Shock flashed in Xing Ju's eyes. After the shock, a horrifying killing qi brewed frantically. However, it was Di Wuk who appeared extremely indifferent. He smiled faintly and said, "You finally decided to remove your hood? However, as I said before, you have no chance. From this moment on, your luck will begin to decline. When the Haotian sect is destroyed, that will be your end." Whoosh! Right after Xiao Chun spoke, thousands of layers of divine light burst out of his body. Golden clouds churned continuously in the sky. The image of the deity race's divine kingdom appeared indistinctly in the clouds. A boundless divine might erupted from Di Wuk's body. Although he had not advanced to martial emperor yet, his aura already suppressed many of the Emperor Wu's. As the divine might spread out, all the cultivators in the plaza quickly retreated. Amid this boundless divine might, Di Wuk grasped the saber's hilt and shouted. The cloud moon saber trembled for a while before it was completely drawn. Rumble! The aura of the divine weapon clashed intensely with Di Wuk's aura. Lightning flashed in the sky, and mysterious phenomena appeared one after another. The entire Bright Moon Plaza shook endlessly. The many stone pillars and buildings collapsed. Cracks spread on the ground, creating deep ditches. The plaza turned into rubble. When all the heavenly starry ocean cultivators saw this scene, their faces all turned dark at the same time. Diwuk actually managed to draw the divine weapon. It was truly intolerable and unacceptable. This kind of result was something that no one could have predicted. He really pulled it out. It's over. How unfortunate. The Lunar Palace's holy daughter is actually going to marry a deity race person. On the platform, Yu Bingyun showed a grave expression, a desolate look flickering in her eyes. When the wind shadow sword on Xiao Chen's back felt the cloud moon saber struggle, it buzzed and trembled endlessly. A surging sword intent erupted from its body. I, Diwuk, have been in hiding for 5 years. If I cannot even subdue an insignificant divine weapon like you, then I will have lived in vain. Xiao Chun, even if you're the Blue Dragon King, what can you do to me now? Diwuk held the cloud moon saber, which flickered with light and struggled endlessly. Then he reared his head back and laughed, looking unparalleled. How painful. You're probably unhappy with such a master, right? Sensing the cloud moon saber's struggle, Xiao Chun muttered to himself. Then he continued, "In that case, I will set you free." A sharp light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes, and a surging saber intent started to gather wildly. Xiao Chen's long hair fluttered freely, and his white robes flapped noisily. A strong saber intent burst out of his body. The saber domain that he grasped instantly spread out without holding anything back. 100 strands of primordial energy, 100 strands of dragon-like vital chi, a peak will of thunder, a dermic incarnation hidden in the depths of Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness, and vast magic energy. Everything merged into this saber domain without holding anything back. This was the first time Xiao Chun infused all his trump cards and various powers into his saber domain. With the flawless saber Dao, everything could be used as a saber. Whoosh! In the next moment, the light within 1 kilometer of Xiao Chun suddenly vanished. Xiao Chun sank into deathly stillness and darkness. No light could be seen at all. It was like the light had vanished from that world. This was a scene that ordinary people saw. However, the outstanding talents here saw a different scene. Bright, an extremely bright flash of light, a flash of saber light that completely suppressed the blazing sun. Dazzling, piercing, and shocking. Saber domain. The saber in front, the domain behind. The domain was used by the saber, not the other way around. At this moment, aside from the original power of the world, there were also the various powers of Xiao Chun within 1 kilometer. When Xiao Chun decided to merge them all into one and use them all for the saber, that light naturally competed with the sun in brightness, shocking everyone. After detonating the 3 strands of saber energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness, he drew the lunar shadow saber and executed his peak saber strike. Whoosh! It looked like Xiao Chun teleported, appearing in front of Diwuk out of nowhere. Before Diwuk, who was laughing loudly, could react, he discovered a saber light chopping down without any warning. This saber strike was too fast. It suppressed space and broke free of the restrictions of space. There was no trajectory that could be figured out at all. Kassier. The saber light directly chopped down on the cloud moon saber in Diwuk's hand. There was a crisp sound. Before everyone's eyes, the divine weapon, the cloud moon saber, broke in half. Clang! Half of the cloud moon saber fell to the ground. The cloud moon saber gave off a melodious sound. This sound was incredibly desolate, resounding in the world. However, it also contained a strange joy. That was the final sound the cloud moon saber gave off. Only Xiao Chun could understand its desolation. As a divine weapon, he was not willing to end up in the hands of a non-bladesman. Furthermore, he was not willing to suffer the fate of dying the moment he drew it. Similarly, only Xiao Chun could understand that trace of joy. That was the joy of being freed. After being forcefully drawn, only the fate of being broken and subdued was to fall. However, dying here might be a form of release. Dang, dang, dang. The remaining half of the saber shook. After bouncing a few times, it finally stopped falling. That final sound was a cry to fate or a helpless wail before death. No one could understand whether it was pride or cowardice. I have a pride higher than the sky. I have a sharpness that no saber can compare to. I have the ambition to break through the Kunlun realm and compete with the divine weapons of the outside world. Unfortunately, the heavenly Tao is unfair. The world is unfair. An absolute treasure saber meets the wrong person. Xiao Chun was slightly stunned. The final sound of the cloud moon saber rang in his ears. He knew in his heart that he was not the one who broke the cloud moon saber. Instead, the cloud moon saber chose him to break it. Was this pride or cowardice? Xiao Chun did not understand. As for the surrounding cultivators, the incredibly interesting expressions of the Lunar Palace's people, and even the pale-faced Di Wuk and Xiao Chun, who were very close, did not notice it. Xiao Chun's gaze focused on the remaining half of the saber on the ground. How dare you? You are the descendant of the demonic Qing Emperor. Do you really think that I do not dare to kill you? Suddenly, a cold shout came from the Lunar Palace, floating in the clouds in the sky. That voice was bone-chilling. Everyone in Bright Moon City felt a chill run down their backs, their bodies trembling. The rage contained in the voice terrified everyone. Fear spread throughout their bodies. No matter who it was, they all felt a terrifying killing intent. The strongest expert of the heavenly starry ocean, the Lunar Palace's palace master, was enraged. Chapter 1352. Without a doubt, the owner of this voice was the Lunar Palace's palace master, the leader of the heavenly starry ocean's three primes. The Lunar Palace's palace master, who wore an azure-colored dress and was surrounded by colorful clouds with a bright moon, slowly appeared in the sky and drifted down. After the Lunar Palace's palace master landed, the entire place fell silent. Not only did no one dare to speak, but even breathing became like ice pillars. The reason was none other than because everyone could sense this supreme being's anger. She already had murderous intent. Xiao Chun, whose back faced the Lunar Palace's palace master, felt the greatest pressure. The might of that prime made one's heart tremble and their entire body turn cold. This was the first time a prime unleashed her aura on him. Only now did he truly understand. How horrifying was the strength of a prime. That was a level that Xiao Chun could not imagine. However, Xiao Chun did not turn his head back, nor did he explain anything. Even the appearance of a prime could not calm his emotions. Xiao Chun waved his hand, and the bright jade fan flew out. The fan unfurled in midair. A brilliant light spread out, looking beautiful and gentle. The sound of a zither and melodious singing came from the fan. When the Lunar Palace's palace master saw the bright jade fan flying over, she showed a stunned expression. Clearly, she was somewhat surprised. The Lunar Palace's palace master stretched out her hand and grasped the bright jade fan. Her eyes flickered, and her expression fluctuated. Clearly, she had some difficult decisions in her heart. Then, Xiao Chun bent over and picked up the remaining half of the cloud moon saber. Then, he stood up and looked at the remaining half of the saber in Di Wuk's hand. Then, he said indifferently, "What you want is not a treasure saber that exists purely for the saber Tao. Give it to me." After saying that, Xiao Chun did not wait for Di Wuk to refuse. Di Wuk was somewhat distracted. He did not struggle, letting Xiao Chun snatch it away easily. "Mo Chun, let's go." Xiao Chun's figure drifted over to Mo Chun's side. Then, he turned his head and smiled faintly at Yu Bingyan. Then, he soared into the air with Mo Chun. Then, they left before everyone's gazes. The Lunar Palace's palace master wanted to say something. However, she saw the bright jade fan in her hand. Xiao Chun recalled what Xiao Chun said to Di Wuk. Then, he turned his head back to look at Yu Bingyun, who was staring at Xiao Chun's back in a daze. She sighed helplessly in her heart. With her intelligence, how could she not guess the ins and outs of the matter at this moment? However, Yu Bingyun was unhappy with Xiao Chun's arrangements. She used the bright jade fan to force Xiao Chun to enter and stop this divine weapon unveiling ceremony. However, Yu Bingyun had not expected that the divine weapon unveiling ceremony would indeed be disrupted. Xiao Qin's saber strike actually broke the cloud moon saber. There was no shadow in the wind, no moon in the clouds. The lunar palace's preparations for more than 1,000 years went to waste, their blood, sweat, and tears. Had the lunar palace's palace master known that there would be such a storm, she might not have held the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. As the lunar palace's palace master watched Xiao Qin's figure slowly vanish from Bright Moon City, she clutched the bright jade fan tightly. In the end, she did not choose to make a move. Perhaps you were still somewhat different from that demon. The lunar palace's palace master looked around, and her killing chi vanished. Then, she looked at Di-Wuk and asked, "You are the divine son, Di-Wuk?" Di-Wuk recovered his wits and nodded gently. "That is this junior. I came in a rush and did not report before suddenly coming to Bright Moon City. Sorry for the offense." When facing this prime, Di-Wuk did not show any stage fright. His reply was appropriate, displaying the air of a major character. The lunar palace's palace master looked directly at Di-Wuk like she wanted to see through all of Di-Wuk's secrets, making Di-Wuk feel somewhat uncomfortable. After a while, the lunar palace's palace master nodded slightly and said, "Not bad. Before advancing to Martial Emperor, you already comprehended the unique divine spirit of the deity race and cultivated heavenly deity energy. You are indeed incredible. Come with me. I want to have a chat with you." After being stunned for a while, Di-Wuk reacted. The lunar palace's palace master wanted to meet him alone. With the cloud moon saber shattered, the lunar palace lost its greatest support and would have no choice but to lower its head to the deity Dao Union. When Di-Wuk figured this out, he could not help rejoicing in his heart. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Many thanks for the palace master's invitation. Wuk is deeply honored." Di-Wuk felt somewhat cocky in his heart. It looked like Xiao Qin was in the limelight at this divine weapon unveiling ceremony. However, in the end, Xiao Qin still ended up benefiting him. Without Xiao Qin breaking the cloud moon saber, given the pride of the lunar palace's palace master, how could she have summoned him alone? This was what Xiao Qin worried about the most before coming to the lunar palace. However, it still happened in the end. However, at this moment, Xiao Qin did not regret it at all. He had long since understood his heart. He only came here to help a friend. Since he already achieved his goal, he had no regrets. However, the final sound of the cloud moon saber stirred Xiao Qin greatly. In Bright Moon City, when the holy Scions saw Di-Wuk and the lunar palace's palace master ascend to the lunar palace in the sky, their expressions changed somewhat. Chapter 1353. Clearly, the two had not expected Yu Bingyun's arrival. When they heard her say that she was no longer the lunar palace's holy daughter, they were even more shocked. Xiao Qin and Mo Chun exchanged glances. They did not know what happened. Could it be that the lunar palace's holy daughter and the lunar palace's palace master already fell out? "Bingyun, what do you mean by this?" Xiao Qin asked probingly after inviting her in. This might involve some sensitive issues, so Xiao Qin did not insist on it. He only asked casually, not putting any pressure on Yu Bingyun. Yu Bingyun smiled faintly and said, "It is not as serious as you think. After Master found out about my thoughts, she did not force me and let me leave the lunar palace. However, I live in the lunar palace since I was young. Now that I left the lunar palace, I could not even think of a place to stay, so I came here. You won't chase me away, right? This is good." Xiao Qin and Mo Chun both heaved a sigh of relief. It looks like the lunar palace's palace master is not a cold-blooded and emotionless person. Clearly, Xiao Qin still had a master-disciple relationship with Yu Bingyun. Otherwise, he would not have let her go so easily. Mo Chun giggled and said, "That is exactly what he wished for. How could he rush? I will accompany elder sister Bingyun later and arrange a place to stay." However, Xiao Qin would not mind Yu Bingyun staying on Heavenly Star Island. He smiled faintly and did not say anything more. "By the way, I actually came here for another matter," Yu Bingyun said softly as she looked at the broken halves of the cloud moon saber on the table. When Xiao Qin saw Xiao Qin's expression, his heart tightened. He asked, "Are you here for the Cloud Moon Saber?" Now that the divine weapon had lost its divinity and spirituality, it was no longer valuable. "Can you keep it with me? I am willing to return half of the resources to the Lunar Palace." Seeing Yu Bingyun's gaze on the Cloud Moon Saber, Xiao Chun thought that the Lunar Palace wanted to take back the Cloud Moon Saber. Xiao Chun did not have any plans for the Cloud Moon Saber. He only wanted to keep the two halves of the saber. The final sound of the Cloud Moon Saber shocked Xiao Chun too much. Perhaps it was out of the respect a bladesman had for a saber, so Xiao Chun kept it. Although most of the Cloud Moon Saber was willing to be broken by Xiao Chun was the one who personally broke it. Taking in the Cloud Moon Saber could be considered as making up for the guilt in his heart, although it was far from enough. Yu Bingyan smiled and said, No, you're overthinking. I would like to ask you if you are willing to merge the Lunar Shadow Saber and the Cloud Moon Saber into a brand new subdivine weapon. A surprised expression appeared on Xiao Chen's face. He had not expected Yu Bingyun to say such a thing. On a deeper level, could this be the intention of the Lunar Palace's palace master? Yu Bingyun continued, "Xiao Chun, there is no need to guess. Although Master did not say it explicitly, this is her intention. She made 2 moves. On the surface, she promised Diwuk, but she didn't give up on you. After all, no matter who it is, no one would truly be willing to be swallowed up by the deity race." Xiao Chun felt shocked in his heart. This Lunar Palace's palace master was truly incredible. She made 2 moves, one in the open and one in the dark, considering all the possible outcomes. This was especially so for Yu Bingyun's move. The other party was no longer a member of the Lunar Palace. Even if she came to help Xiao Chun, the deity Dao Union would have nothing to say, unable to find an excuse to make things difficult for him. If the deity Dao Union gained power and really destroyed the Haotian sect, Yu Bingyun would have publicly expressed her support for the deity Dao Union long ago. She would have obtained a good position as well. Thinking of this, Xiao Chun smiled bitterly and said, "This master of yours is scheming for the Lunar Palace at every turn. She treats everyone as a pawn. Has she ever thought about your feelings?" Yu Bingyun said softly, "Don't blame my master. I have never blamed her. Our positions are different, so naturally our perspectives are different. Furthermore, this time I volunteered. As long as you're willing, I have a way to perfectly merge the Cloud Moon Saber into the Lunar Shadow Saber, bringing out the characteristics of the Cloud Moon Saber." When Xiao Chun heard this, he entered deep thought. This was indeed a great temptation. However, he had to ask for Ao Jiao's opinion first. "Ao Jiao, do you think this is possible?" Ao Jiao, who was in the Immortal Spirit Ring, nodded and said, "If it is just merging the Cloud Moon Saber, I can agree. Coincidentally, before it becomes a divine weapon, I can upgrade the Lunar Shadow Saber once more." Xiao Chun felt slightly shocked. He asked in his heart, "Even if I merge the two, I still can't upgrade the Lunar Shadow Saber to a divine weapon?" Naturally, it can. However, it will just be an ordinary divine weapon. Either the Lunar Shadow Saber does not become a divine weapon, or once it does, it will definitely charge into the divine weapon ranking. It is just like you. Either you do not advance to Martial Emperor, or once you do, you will definitely become an influential person among Emperor Wu. Xiao Chun suddenly understood. It was not that he could not, but that he was unwilling. Right now, the Lunar Shadow Saber was like the blue-robed emperor who was accumulating accumulations. This was fine as well. Right now, Xiao Chun was not prepared to have a transcendent divine weapon. Xiao Chun nodded and said, "I discussed it with the Lunar Shadow Saber." She agreed. "In that case, I'll have to trouble Miss Bingyun." Yu Bingyun blinked, feeling somewhat surprised. To think that Xiao Chun would discuss the matter of modifying a weapon with his own item spirit. After recovering her wits, Yu Bingyun smiled and said, It's fine. It's not really troublesome. The truly troublesome one is younger sister Mo Chun. Without her help, it would be very difficult for me to merge the Lunar Shadow Saber and the Cloud Moon Saber perfectly." Mo Chun said, "No problem. As long as I can help Big Brother Xiao Chun, Mo Chun is willing to do anything." When Xiao Chun saw the sincerity in the two girls' eyes, he felt moved. It was already a great blessing to have a confidant in one's life. However, Xiao Chun had two. It had to be said that he was very fortunate. Yu Bingyun said, "There is no time to lose. Let's start now and try to finish it before the deity Dao Union launches a full-scale attack on the Haotian sect." At the mention of this, Xiao Chen's heart sank. Worry appeared on his face. The Haotian sect and the three holy masters had already started fighting long ago. Emperor Wu had already clashed with each other several times. As for the sporadic battles, that went without saying. They happened practically at every moment. However, with the Haotian Prime holding down the fort, even though the three holy masters held the advantage, they did not dare to clash head-on with the Haotian sect. Hence, there was no true decisive battle. However, after the deity Dao Union was established, the situation instantly changed. The Haotian sect was immediately at a disadvantage. Once the deity Dao Union was completely reorganized, the decisive battle would start at any moment. No matter how one looked at it, the Haotian sect was the deity Dao Union's greatest enemy on the path to unifying the Kunlun realm. Now, it had been more than 2 months since the deity Dao Union was established. That day was drawing closer. Perhaps it was only 1 month away, or perhaps it would happen tomorrow. Without the lips, the teeth would feel the cold. Once the Supreme Sky sect fell, Xiao Chun would suffer a calamity as well. Xiao Chen's luck would be affected, plummeting. "Bingyan, how long will it take?" Xiao Chen asked. Yu Bingyan thought for a while. "If everything went smoothly," she replied, "it will probably take 7 days. After all, it is just merging and not forging a new divine weapon. Furthermore, there is Mo Chen's book of heavenly works assisting from the side. It will not take long. 7 days. I hope that in these 7 days, the Haotian sect will not cause any trouble." After saying that, Xiao Chen took out the lunar shadow saber and handed it to Yu Bingyan. Then he said, "The two of you, just focus on merging the two sabers. I will stand guard for you during these 7 days." Chapter 1354. While Xiao Chen guarded the two girls as they merged the two sabers, something happened in the Tianwu domain in the Kunlun continent. Now, the Haotian sect's Haotian province no longer had any ordinary people. The Haotian sect had already sent them to other places. The surrounding provinces also had no ordinary people. Naturally, the reason went without saying. The battle between the three holy masters and the Haotian sect had already progressed from the initial scattered battles to full scale. Such a huge battle affected everything within 5 million kilometers of the province. If ordinary people were here, it would be hard for them to survive. The Haotian sect sent disciples to guard all the cities of various sizes in the Haotian province. If one had a bird's eye view from the sky, they would discover that with Haotian City as the center, a huge formation had already formed. There were formations within formations, layer after layer, a total of 18 layers interconnected. Cities, mountains, and rivers were all important nodes of the formation. These nodes were the center of the battle between the Haotian sect and the three holy masters. If the three holy masters wanted to break the formation, they would have to destroy these nodes. If the Haotian sect wanted to protect its main sect, it would have to protect as many nodes as possible. The intensity of the battle would be easy to imagine. The many layers of formations guarded the center. The Haotian sect's Haotian City was where the sect's luck was. Once Haotian City was destroyed, the entire sect's luck would end. All the sect's disciples would be affected. Fortunately, although the three holy masters were pressing hard, they only managed to break the outermost 3 layers of the 18 layers of formations. Furthermore, the Haotian sect would organize a counterattack, so the fight would be intense. At the periphery of the Haotian province, the disciples of the White Emperor City, the Phoenix's Passion Palace, and the Divine Martial Gate could be seen densely packed in the periphery, wearing uniforms of different colors. There were all sorts of warships in the sky. They covered the sky and cast a large shadow. Among the many warships were 3 incredibly huge Emperor-grade warships: the Divine Tiger Warship, the Divine Phoenix Warship, and the Divine Martial Warship. These were the final warships of the three Holy Masters. They could be used for both offense and defense. Since the start of the battle, they had kept them as trump cards and rarely used them. The three Holy Lords gathered on the Divine Phoenix warship of the Phoenix's Passion Palace. The Emperor Wu of the Holy Lands all stood behind their respective Holy Lords, radiating a baleful aura. If one counted carefully, each of the Holy Lands had more than 10 martial emperors. The depth of their accumulations was clear. Despite such great strength, the many martial emperors did not show any complacency on their faces. Instead, they had grave expressions, and the atmosphere of the entire place was very stifling. The White Tiger Holy Master sighed and said, 3 months have passed. The number of martial emperors that died in our clans has already exceeded 5. Many more blue-robed emperor and martial sages have died. Unexpectedly, the Haotian sect is so difficult to deal with. Under the threat of the three Holy Masters, aside from the Thunder King's Thunder and Lightning Palace, no other sect in the entire Tianwu domain dared to support the Haotian sect. However, the Haotian sect had a prime. No other sect dared to take the risk of following the three Holy Masters to attack the Haotian sect. Even if the Haotian sect was destroyed, the Haotian prime would not die. He would still be able to take revenge on them. Aside from the three Holy Masters, who had deep accumulations, no other sect dared to be so bold as to offend a prime. The Haotian sect and the Thunder and Lightning Palace added up only had 8 Emperor Wu, less than the three Holy Masters. In terms of accumulations, these two sects were far from comparable to the three Holy Masters. However, the Haotian sect had a prime. The three Holy Masters had to work together to defeat Ing Zongtian. Furthermore, Ing Zongtian could leave whenever he wanted. They would not hold him back. Furthermore, the other party had the geographical advantage, relying on the defensive formations. With one attacking and one defending, it was clear that the attacking side would have to put in more effort. For the past 3 months, even though the three Holy Masters held the upper hand, suppressing the Haotian sect to the point of not being able to counterattack, they could not take down the Haotian sect. On the other hand, the three Holy Masters suffered heavy losses. Even more than 6 Emperor Wu died. If they continued to attack, even if they destroyed the Haotian sect, the three Holy Masters would suffer heavy losses. The losses outweighed the gains. The three Holy Masters had no choice but to join the deity Dao Union's three Holy Masters. There was already no turning back. They had to take down the Haotian sect. Why are the deity Dao Union's people not here yet? A Phoenix's Passion Palace elder asked, feeling upset. They had already joined the deity Dao Union for 2 months, but they still had not received any reinforcements. These words could be said to have spoken out the thoughts of many elders. Everyone was worried that they would be the next to fall. The stronger one was the more they valued their lives. Although the three Holy Masters' attacks had slowed down after joining the deity Dao Union, Emperor Wu still occasionally fell, making it hard to avoid fear. The Vermilion Bird Holy Lord said, "There is no rush. The deity Dao Union needs some time to organize its internal affairs. We need to discuss how to split the benefits. We also have to consider the unstable factors of the fiend races, the Fox King and the Ghost race. It is fine if the deity Dao Union does not make a move. However, when they do, they have to destroy the Haotian sect." Suddenly, the expression of the Vermilion Bird Holy Lord, who was speaking, changed. Then, he closed his eyes as if he was communicating with someone. After a while, he opened his eyes, and he revealed an expression of joy. "Pass down my orders. All the Holy Lands cultivators are to stop attacking and defend the nodes that we already occupied. Do not make any movements for 3 days. Just turtle up and defend." The moment the Vermilion Bird said that, the deity Dao Union immediately broke out into discussion, feeling shocked. "Holy Lord, is the deity Dao Union coming?" someone asked anxiously. The Vermilion Bird Holy Lord replied indifferently, "There is no need to ask so much. Everything will be clear in 3 days. You can all withdraw and just wait for news." Although they did not know what news it was, at least they did not need to fight for now. This was a rare moment of rest, so it was good news. After these elders left, the white tiger Holy Lord and the black tortoise Holy Lord asked one after another, "What news did Emperor Forsaken send? Are they going to make a move?" These three were peak, ninth heaven, sovereign martial emperors. Their perspective of the problem was much broader than that of Emperor Wu, who had just left. They did not feel anxious about the deity Dao Union taking so long to arrive. The smile on the vermilion bird Holy Lord's face vanished. He said sullenly, "I have two pieces of news, one good and one bad. The good news is that with the deity race's help, the internal strife of the ghost race and the corpse race is basically quelled. The deity Dao Union is nearly complete and will arrive in the Tianwu domain in 3 days. Good. Given that, the allied army of the deity Dao Union will definitely have experts of the ghost race and corpse race. And the bad news?" At the mention of the bad news, the vermilion bird Holy Lord's expression turned somewhat unsightly. However, he still had to say it in the end. The bad news is that the divine daughter Tianyushi's activities in the heavenly starry ocean basically ended in failure. The many holy lands of the heavenly starry ocean have been roped in by that little brat, Xiao Chun. "What?" The two cried out hoarsely, somewhat startled. The deity Dao Union was already established, yet the holy lands of the heavenly starry ocean still dared to resist. Fortunately, Xiao Chun did not convince the Lunar Palace. Furthermore, the Lunar Palace's palace master promised that as long as the Haotian sect is destroyed, she will immediately join the deity Dao Union. After a pause, the vermilion bird Holy Lord continued. The white tiger Holy Lord smiled and said, "This Lunar Palace's palace master is indeed as shrewd as before. However, the Lunar Palace does indeed have the strength and accumulations to raise such a condition." The black tortoise Holy Lord nodded slightly, agreeing with the white tiger Holy Lord's point of view. However, when he thought of Xiao Chun, he found it somewhat strange. This fellow Xiao Chun truly lives up to being a descendant of the Qing Emperor. To think that he is so horrifying. It looks like our decision to cut off all means of retreat and work together to make Wuck the bearer of luck was the right one. That's right. If we really let him advance to martial emperor, we will all die. 10,000 years ago, the Qing Emperor treated us like cattle and horses. We, the three holy masters, absolutely cannot go through that again. A heavy murderous intent flashed in the vermilion bird Holy Lord's eyes. He continued in a cold voice, "Hence, this Haotian sect must be destroyed. We must cut off its luck, preventing it from advancing to martial emperor." Chapter 1355. In the refining pavilion of Scorching Flame Island, which had already been turned into a refining island in the sea region of Heavenly Star Island, Imo Chun and Yu Bingyun were anxiously helping to merge the Cloud Moon Saber and the Lunar Shadow Saber. Aside from Xiao Chun, there was no one else outside the refining pavilion. Unknowingly, 3 days had passed. During these 3 days, Xiao Chun had not been idle. He had been trying to comprehend the peak saber strike that he executed during the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. That saber strike gave Xiao Chun an extremely wondrous feeling. He had already touched the surface of the state of space. When he swung the saber, he used the saber to control space. He could not feel the existence of space. He was clearly still in the water, but it felt like he had already leaped out of space. It was extremely wondrous. After that, Xiao Chun tried several times. His saber domain could still merge all his energy and execute a peak saber strike. However, he could no longer find that feeling of using the saber to control space. It was like it had never appeared before. Since that day, many Emperor Wu came to seek advice from Xiao Chun on the mysteries of that move. Xiao Chun did not hide anything, honestly telling these people his views on the saber domain. At the same time, he shared his doubts and questions with Emperor Wu, who came to seek advice, helping each other. After chatting openly with many different Emperor Wu and seeing all sorts of ingenious viewpoints, Xiao Chun gained a lot. No matter how smart a person was, there would always be things that one could not think of. Perhaps it was these small, unexpected things that one could not think of that would be the key to a breakthrough. Although Xiao Chun could no longer find that state of using the saber to control space, He became increasingly familiar with merging all his energy into the saber domain and executing a peak strike. Xiao Chun gave this saber strike a name, void-breaking stance. The word break represented the breaking of his understanding of the olden era's saber domain. It represented his rebuilding after breaking, creating a brand new Tao. Xiao Chun had a vague idea in his heart. He was preparing to accumulate everything he had learned in his life and create another saber technique, merging all the mysteries of the saber techniques that he had comprehended into this saber technique. This saber technique was called the flawless saber technique, and the void-breaking stance was the first stance of this flawless saber technique. As for how many more stances there were, that would depend on fate and could not be forced. Sitting cross-legged and closing his eyes, Xiao Chun continuously analyzed the saber techniques he had learned in his mind. Many years ago, Xiao Chun had been trying to create his own swordsmanship. Even if he obtained the swordsmanship of others, he would try his best to adapt it to his own. The Wu Kuei saber technique, the rushing thunder chop, the four-season saber technique, and the lightning tribulation saber technique. It looked very tiring and required a lot more effort, and he might not even succeed. But many years later, when Xiao Chun looked back on the path he had taken, he was very glad that he had taken the step back then. At sunset, Xiao Chun suddenly opened his eyes, and a small black dot appeared in his eyes. As the black dot got closer, it turned into a graceful and gentle woman. It was the eldest senior sister, Shui Lingling. Xiao Chun raised his eyebrows and quickly stood up. For his eldest senior sister to rush over at this time, something urgent had to have happened. First senior sister, what's the matter for you to be in such a rush? Xiao Chun asked quickly after he stood up. Shui Lingling frowned somewhat worriedly. Her expression turned grave as she said, "The various factions of the deity Dao Union have already gathered in the Haotian province 3 days ago. After a round of ferocious attacks, they have already broken 9 of the 18 layers of formations in the periphery." What? When Xiao Chun heard this, he was mildly startled. The thing that he worried about the most still happened ahead of time. However, this day would eventually come. Xiao Chun's mental state was rather good. After a while, he recovered. Xiao Chun's expression recovered its calm. Without hesitation, he said, "Do you need my help? As long as Big Brother Ing says the word, I can ask the many seniors of the heavenly starry ocean to help at any time." When Shui Lingling saw Xiao Chun's expression, she felt moved in her heart. She smiled and said, "There's no need. It is not that time yet. It is just that we currently lack martial emperor experts to protect the formations. Master has already spoken with the Fox King and is currently searching the entire Kunlun realm for Emperor Wu's help. He got me to come and see if Junior Brother can help." Xiao Chun let out a soft cry of surprise, indicating that he understood. Right now, it was not the most crucial moment. Those holy lords were the final trump cards. There was no need to use them yet. Right now, they lacked ordinary martial emperor experts. Big Brother wanted to ask Xiao Chun to help. It looked like the Haotian sect had indeed reached an exceptionally dangerous moment. Otherwise, Big Brother Ing would not have asked Xiao Chun to help. "That's not a problem. I'll go with you after I report." Naturally, Xiao Chun would not reject Big Brother Ying's request. He turned around and headed for the refining pavilion to inform them of this matter. In the refining pavilion, the expressions of the two girls changed drastically. They said at the same time, "No way. How can you go at this time? Your Lunar Shadow Saber and Cloud Moon Saber are only halfway merged. Let's wait for another 4 days." When Shui Lingling heard what happened, she revealed a gentle smile. It is good that Junior Brother is so kind. Since the Lunar Shadow Saber still needs another 4 days to merge, then wait for another 4 days. I'll just wait for Junior Brother in the Haotian sect. It's fine. I'll go back with you. Even without a saber in hand, I am confident of fighting with Emperor Wu. Xiao Chun smiled faintly to comfort Big Brother Ing. Since Big Brother Ing sought him out, it meant that the situation was dire. He had to go. Perhaps nothing dangerous would happen in 4 days. However, if something did happen, it would be too late for regrets. Xiao Chun did not want to regret it. In a refining pavilion, Imo Chun and Yu Bingyun exchanged glances and sighed helplessly. Big brother Xiao Chun, wait for a while. Elder sister Bingyun and I will come out soon. Don't be in a rush to leave yet. Imo Chin's voice came from inside. Could there be a turning point? Xiao Chen turned his head to Shui Lingling and said, in that case, let's wait for a while more. Shui Lingling nodded and said, all right, I'll listen to junior brother. The two chatted as they waited. During this time, Shui Lingling gave a simple explanation of the Haotian sect's current situation. The Haotian sect could rely on only the Thunder and Lightning Palace to block the attacks of the three Holy Masters. Aside from the Haotian Prime, it also relied on the worldly mountain river Great Sun Formation. If the Grand Formation broke, it would be very hard to defend the Supreme Sky Sect's mountain just by relying on the Supreme Sky Prime alone. As Xiao Chun listened to Shui Lingling's calm explanation, he could sense the overwhelming danger that the Haotian sect faced. Xiao Chun became even more determined to rush over. No matter what, he had to do his part. 1 hour later, Yu Bingyun and Mo Chan worked together to carry a rectangular bronze box out of the refining pavilion. Buzz! After they landed by Xiao Chen's side, they quickly put down the bronze box. The ground immediately shook and their bodies trembled. Shui Lingling exclaimed in shock, what is inside? It is so heavy. Imo Chen wiped the sweat off her forehead and panted. She said, there's a formation in there. It contains 500 tons of frost flame. There is no way to put it in the universe ring. Xiao Chun asked doubtfully, what's going on? Yu Bingyun explained, since you want to leave early, we can only think of a stupid method. After the new lunar shadow saber absorbs all the frost flame, you will be able to use it. The advantage of this stupid method is that there is no need to worry. The disadvantage is that we do not know how long it will take to absorb all the frost flame. Perhaps 10 days, perhaps 1 month. So long? Isn't it just 4 days? After Shui Lingling heard that, she felt somewhat guilty for interrupting Xiao Chen's matters. It's fine. Xiao Chen smiled and picked up the bronze box with one hand. It was indeed rather heavy. However, Xiao Chen's physical body was comparable to that of many experts who focused on cultivating the physical body. It was not too difficult to pick it up. After making some preparations, Xiao Chun carried the bronze box on his back. A warmth immediately came from the bronze box. This warmth turned into a warm flame flowing through the meridians in Xiao Chen's body. His entire body felt warm. Grand mist energy automatically flowed out. With the help of this warm fire, his entire body felt warm. With the help of this warm flame, the primordial energy quickly circulated the purple thunder divine incantation. Xiao Chen's cultivation speed was about 20% faster than usual. Furthermore, it was very stable. The most important thing was that it was cultivating automatically. This bronze box was extraordinary. You can feel it now, right? This bronze box is the sword box of an ancient powerhouse. Now, the treasure sword in it is no longer around. However, even if this sword box exists on its own, it is still a peak emperor-grade secret treasure, Yu Bingyun said with a smile when she saw Xiao Chen's expression. Xiao Chen nodded and said, it is indeed a treasure. At this rate, even if I am walking, it can still help me cultivate. Yu Bingyun said, you like it? In that case, I'll give it to you. In the future, I'll tell you about the many other uses of this sword box. Most people would not dare to carry such a heavy sword box on their back. Not only would it slow down their movement technique, but it would also easily distract them. There were pros and cons. That was indeed the case. In that case, I'll leave with first senior sister first. No way. I already discussed it with elder sister Bingyun. This time, I have to go with you, Imo Chan suddenly said in a resolute tone. Chapter 1356. Xiao Chen simply could not convince Yu Bingyun and Imo Chan. In the end, he still brought the two girls with him, returning to the Supreme Sky Sect through the transportation formation with Shui Lingling. A light flickered, and the four appeared at the Haotian Sect's transportation formation at the same time. Xiao Chan was rather familiar with the Haotian Sect's transportation formation. He had used it several times before, so he was familiar with the surrounding environment. As the four sized up the surroundings, they could feel the tense atmosphere in the air. Everyone's faces were solemn, and their brows were furrowed. Greetings, first senior sister. Greetings, Blue Dragon King. When the Haotian sect disciples around the transportation formation saw the group appear, they bowed in greeting. Shui Lingling nodded slightly and walked out of the transportation formation. Immediately, a young disciple came over and said, "First senior sister, the sect master has been waiting for a long time already." "I got it. You may withdraw first." With Shui Lingling leading the way, the four soared into the air and flew towards Haotian City. The transportation formation was not far from Haotian City. In just a few breaths, the four saw the majestic Haotian City. The once familiar Haotian City was now filled with desolation. The ordinary people in the city had already evacuated, leaving behind only the Haotian sect disciples. When the four approached the city gates, Xiao Chun, Imo Bingyun, and Imo Bingyun immediately felt a sharp aura coming from the city walls, locking onto the three. It was like a terrifying, ferocious beast suddenly opening its eyes and locking onto the three. Xiao Chun did not panic. He knew that this was a critical period, and the formation in the city must have been activated long ago. The people guarding the nodes of the formation did not know the three's identities, so they had to take precautions and could not be careless. Whoosh, whoosh. Two figures tore through the air, each with a scarlet rope tied to their right arms. There was an ancient armband tied to the middle of the scarlet rope. Xiao Chun had some impression of the one on the left. He was a blue-robed emperor elder of the Haotian sect. However, he could not recall his name, having only seen him a few times. As for the one on the right, he was certain that he had never seen him before. He was also a blue-robed emperor-level character, and his body was filled with a thick aura of thunder and lightning. Xiao Chun recalled that the Thunder and Lightning Palace was now stationed in the Haotian sect. If he was right, it should be an elder from the Thunder and Lightning Palace. "Miss Shui, please show me your token and armband to prove your identity." Shui Lingling frowned slightly, but did not refuse. She took out her identity token. After memorizing the red armband, the two elders' expressions softened. They were so cautious because they were afraid that some emperor would change his appearance and sneak in. "This is my junior brother, also the Blue Dragon King, Xiao Chun. The three of them don't have armbands yet," Shui Lingling explained. The Haotian sect's elder smiled and said, "It's fine. I'm afraid it's impossible to imitate the Blue Dragon King, Xiao Chun's temperament, even if you wanted to. Lingling, it's enough that you can prove your identity. Here are 3 armbands. Give them to them." Shui Lingling received the armbands and handed them to the 3. She explained, "This red string armband looks simple, but it was personally refined by the sect master. Others cannot imitate it. With this armband, one can enter and leave the various formations of the Haotian sect at will. Once it is taken away, it will instantly burn with just a thought." After Xiao Chun and the other 2 dripped their blood on the armbands, they bound them to their right arms. After passing the city walls, the 4 flew to the floating inner city. After a while, they passed through the layers of guards and arrived at the inner hall. A huge sand table was placed in the simple and unadorned inner hall. The sand table simulated the situation of the entire Haotian province. Different from ordinary sand tables, the one before them was a miniature version of the Haotian province. Furthermore, everything that happened in the Haotian sect was displayed in detail. It was very mystical. Xiao Chun focused his gaze. After staring at it for a few seconds, the originally small scene in the sand table suddenly enlarged and was reflected in his mind. He could clearly see the teleportation formation outside the city. There were about 10 people standing outside the sand table. Apart from the Haotian prime, Ing Zongtian, Xiao Chun did not recognize the rest. However, they were all experts at the level of Emperor Wu. It looked like anyone who could enter this inner hall either had a high status or had a cultivation similar to Emperor Wu's. Beside the Haotian prime stood a middle-aged man in purple robes. His entire body gave off a sharp light. Xiao Chun only took one look and felt a huge pressure. Apart from this person, there were many other martial emperors present. All of them pressured Xiao Chun. Even if he used his Dharma world, he might not be a match for those martial emperors. As they arrived, all the Emperor Wu raised their heads and looked at them. Zongtian nodded with a smile when he saw Xiao Chun. "Brother Xiao Chun, you're fast. I originally expected you to arrive tomorrow. Since Big Brother Ing invited me, I'll naturally arrive as soon as possible." In front of the big shots, the atmosphere was terrifying. Xiao Chun wore a calm expression and carried the bronze sword case on his back. His state of mind did not fluctuate at all. Many Emperor Wu present nodded in approval at his demeanor. It had to be known that when ordinary juniors saw a group of big shots like them, they would already be in a mess, unable to speak properly. "Let me introduce my friends here to you." Zongtian introduced Xiao Chun one by one. Apart from the Haotian sect and Emperor Wu of the Thunder and Lightning Palace, the others were friends that the Haotian sect had invited. As for the middle-aged man in purple robes that Xiao Chun was particularly wary of, he was the deputy palace master of the Thunder and Lightning Palace. The Thunder King had not been in charge for a long time, so he had become the actual ruler of the Thunder and Lightning Palace. His name was Zishuan, and he had the cultivation of the 8th Heaven Emperor Wu. Xiao Chun then realized that this person was Junxi's father. No wonder he looked familiar. Then, Zongtian introduced the current situation to Xiao Chun. The reinforcements of the Ghost race and the Shun race had arrived. Now, the Haotian sect was completely on the defensive. The 18 layers of the Heaven-Earth Mountain River Great Sun Formation had been forced to 9 layers. The situation was extremely grim. With every layer that was broken, the Haotian sect situation would become even more dangerous. Without saying much, Zongtian said, "Little brother Xiao Chun, I'm afraid I can't let you rest. Right now, we're short on manpower. If it is convenient for you, can you help guard the 9th layer of the formation now?" Xiao Chun nodded and said, "As you wish, big brother." Zongtian revealed a smile on his face. He gently pointed at the sand table, and a scene leaped out from the sand table, appearing before the group. It was a lake in the Haotian prefecture called Maple Leaf Lake. It was one of the many nodes of the 9th layer of the formation. It was extremely important in the entire 9th layer. "Take my token and go and take over this place. I'll leave Maple Leaf Lake to you." Zongtian handed the token to Xiao Chun and said seriously. He had just arrived at the Haotian sect, yet he was already sent to the front line. Xiao Chun did not have any complaints. However, he lamented that the Haotian sect situation was even worse than he had imagined. "Zongtian, this Maple Leaf Lake is extremely important in the 9th layer of the formation. It is only second to the few core nodes. Once it is broken, it will implicate the entire 9th layer of the formation. Shouldn't we be more cautious?" One of the martial emperors present said, worried about Xiao Chun's strength. Zongtian smiled and said, "I think it's a waste of little brother Xiao Chun's talent to be placed here. My original intention was for little brother Xiao Chun to fight the enemy martial emperors with us." Emperor Wu was shocked when he heard this. The Haotian sect currently had 2 battlefields. One was the battle for territory, which was the defense of the Heaven-Earth Mountain River Great Sun Formation. The other was the battle between the peak experts. This was more intense and ferocious than the former. Zongtian wanted Xiao Chun to join the latter. Could it be that Xiao Chun had the strength to fight against the greater celestial Emperor Wu? Xiao Chun laughed when he heard this. "Big brother is flattering me. However, I am confident that I can defend Maple Leaf Lake. Please rest assured, seniors." After saying this, he received the token and bowed before leaving the inner hall. Chapter 1357. Xiao Chun knew about Maple Leaf Lake. Hence, he did not get anyone to lead the way and rushed over with the 2 girls. Along the way, Xiao Chun did not see any ordinary people in the vast territory of the Haotian province. Many of the originally bustling cities were empty because they were not strategic nodes, looking desolate and cold. As Xiao Chun flew, he spoke softly to the 2 girls. When he recalled the past scenes of the Haotian province, he sighed in his heart. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Occasionally, the Haotian sect disciples brushed past them. They all appearing to be in a hurry. However, they all showed a common hatred for a common enemy, their fighting spirits still present. Suddenly, a group of people flew over from the front, coincidentally meeting with Xiao Chen's group. When they looked up, both sides were slightly stunned. The person leading the group was tall and stout. His eyes contained a strong fighting spirit. The person beside this person had delicate features and looked ordinary. However, there was a black chi on his forehead. Xiao Chen thought for a while and quickly recalled the identities of these two. The stout one was Situ Gang, an outstanding talent from the Battle Realms. Unfortunately, he did not rise up. When Xiao Chun first arrived at the Kunlun realm, he had sought trouble for Xiao Chun. The one on the right was Zhui Yushi. When Xiao Chun first arrived at the Kunlun realm, he had a good relationship with this person. However, Xiao Chun discovered that this person did not have a firm heart for the Tao, so they broke off contact. The matters of the world were unpredictable. Unexpectedly, they met again today. Sita Gang felt somewhat bitter. When Xiao Chun came out of the Kunlun realm, his cultivation was lower than Sita Gang's. Now, the difference was like heaven and earth. Xiao Chun had already become a truly major character. He founded the Dragon's Gate and could compete with martial emperors. After a long time, Situ Gang and Zhui Yushi said together, "Greetings, Blue Dragon King." Xiao Chun waved his hand and said, "There's no need. Just address me as Senior Brother Xiao. Based on your poor complexion, you must have just returned from the battlefield." Situ Gang nodded and said, "We just returned from Maple Leaf Lake. I'm fine, but Junior Brother Zhua is rather injured. His internal injuries are rather serious." Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. What a coincidence. He went over and said, "Let me take a look." When Xiao Chun placed his finger on Zhui Yushi's body, he immediately frowned. Death chi flowed through Zhui Yushi's meridians. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels had sustained significant damage. If he delayed any longer, his condition would worsen. Making a prompt decision, Xiao Chun mobilized his primordial energy and directly swept away this deathly chi as easily as breaking dry weeds. Puchi! Zhui Yushi spat out a mouthful of black blood, and his complexion became much better. He hurriedly said, "Thank you, Senior Brother." Yu Bingyun stepped forward and handed Zhui Yushi a bottle of medicinal pills. She said, "These are Yang Essence pills. They are very good for recovery for cultivators injured by death chi." Yang Essence pill. This is the Lunar Palace's holy medicine. Zhui Yushi felt startled. When he looked up and saw Yu Bingyun's fairy-like appearance, he was shocked. "Are you the Lunar Palace's holy daughter?" Yu Bingyun smiled faintly and said, "Bingyun is no longer the holy daughter. Now, I am just an insignificant guest elder of the Dragon's Gate." Xiao Chun was more concerned about the attack on Maple Leaf Lake. He asked Situ Gang, "Junior Brother Situ, you said that Maple Leaf Lake was attacked earlier. What is the exact situation? Can you tell me more about it?" Situ Gang wondered why Xiao Chun asked this. However, he still answered honestly. The deity Dao Union launched a surprise attack on Maple Leaf Lake's node. 2 Corpse Race Emperor Wu and many Corpse Race experts came at once. Right now, the battle is in a stalemate. The elders said that the Inner Palace already sent new experts to hold down the fort. So, they told us injured disciples to withdraw for now. Xiao Chun nodded. After saying his goodbyes, he quickly rushed to Maple Leaf Lake with the 2 girls. As Zhui Yushi and Situ Gang watched Xiao Chun leave with the bronze sword box, they could not help revealing envious expressions. Once upon a time, Xiao Chun had been on the same starting line as them. This was especially so for Zhui Yushi. Back then, he had been on pretty good terms with Xiao Chun. Now, it looked like even the Lunar Palace's holy daughter had become Xiao Chun's confidant. However, back then, Zhui Yushi had hesitated over whether he should call her a friend or not. 1 hour later, Maple Leaf Lake appeared in Xiao Chun's vision. It was a vast lake. On the mountain beside the lake, there were red maple trees as far as the eye could see. When the wind blew, fiery red maple leaves would fall like rain. This was how Maple Leaf Lake got its name. In the past, it was a famous scenic spot in the Haotian province. Now, the peace of the lake was broken. A group of corpse race cultivators was on the lake. These corpse race cultivators controlled the demonic corpses unique to the corpse race to charge at the small island in the middle of the lake, wanting to uproot this node. Two of the corpse race cultivators attracted Xiao Chen's attention. These two people sat cross-legged on a coffin in the air, coldly watching the battle below. The two had a golden armband on their right arm, a stark contrast to the red armband of the Haotian sect. It was clear that the two corpse race Emperor Wu had not made a move yet. This was because the person in charge of Maple Leaf Lake had not used the power of the formation yet. The two corpse race Emperor Wu swept their gazes around and discovered Xiao Chun and Mo Chun rushing over. Are the reinforcements sent by the Haotian sect? There is not even one Emperor Wu. To think that the Haotian sect looks down on the two of us. Old Yuan, I'll leave these three to you. I'll keep an eye on the situation below and see if there's an opportunity to severely injure this node. Whoosh! A dark-skinned, hemp-robed old man, radiating death, Qi laughed maniacally as he quickly flew over on the coffin. In a few breaths, this old man arrived before Xiao Chun. Insignificant blue-robed emperor, and you dare to come and provide reinforcements? Die! This hemp-robed old man was not willing to waste time with Xiao Chun. He did not even bother to refine the demonic corpses under the coffin. He leaped up and flew toward Xiao Chun, throwing a palm strike. A mysterious phenomenon immediately appeared. A skinny, white-boned hand crawled out of the mountain of corpses and sea of blood, looking exceptionally scary. Xiao Chen's lips curled up in a smile. To think that the first Heaven Emperor Wu dared to be so arrogant before him. Truly, he must be tired of living. Carrying the bronze sword box on his back, Xiao Chun did not move at all. With a flip of his hand, he sent out a 1,000-year flame. Even after 1,000 cups of wine, the lofty sentiments and hot-bloodedness in one's chest were all in this 1 month. The bright moon was like fire. With the force of Xiao Chen's palm strike, the bright moon descended from the sky and smashed into the mountain of corpses and sea of blood. The horrifying, mysterious phenomenon immediately scattered. That hemp-robed old man was immediately covered in wounds. He flew back in a sorry state and landed on the coffin. Primordial energy. You, a blue-robed emperor. Actually, no primordial energy. You are Xiao Chun, the Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun. The hemp-robed old man on the coffin revealed a horrified expression. He no longer had any desire to fight, so he turned and fled. At the same time, he sent a voice projection to the other corpse race Emperor Wu. Quickly leave. Quickly leave. The Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun is here. You and I are not a match for him. Quickly retreat. In the heavenly starry ocean, Xiao Chun had even killed the fifth heaven greater heavenly Emperor Wu. This had caused a huge commotion in Emperor Wu's circle. Although they knew that Xiao Chun had used some kind of magic treasure or secret technique, who knew if Xiao Chun could do it again? These two corpse race emperors wanted to snatch military merits in this sneak attack. They were not willing to die here for nothing. It's him. The other corpse race Emperor Wu was greatly startled. He shouted to the corpse race cultivators below, "Retreat." The corpse race cultivators on the small island in the middle of the lake could not understand what was going on. They clearly held the advantage. Two Emperor Wus came to sneak attack this Maple Leaf Lake. Why did they retreat? However, the higher-ups already gave the order, so they had no choice but to retreat. They immediately dove into the water like the receding tide. The disciples on Maple Leaf Island were similarly shocked. They did not know what was going on. Why did the corpse race cultivators suddenly retreat in such a panic? Even the two corpse race Emperor Wus fled in panic. There was clearly no third Emperor Wu present. This meant that there was no Emperor Wu among their reinforcements. However, why did the other party suddenly retreat? I'll be right back, Xiao Chan said to the two girls beside him. Then he carried the bronze sword box on his back and executed the fish dragon art to give chase. If he let two First Heaven Emperor Wus escape, then Xiao Chan would not be able to forgive himself. Chapter 1358. Xiao Chun carried the bronze sword box. Although his speed had decreased, his fish dragon art had already broken through the limits of space. In a few breaths, he caught up to the two fleeing corpse race Emperor Wu, who were less than 10 kilometers away. How could he be so fast? The two corpse race Emperor Wu were frightened into a fluster. They hardened their hearts and chose to take the risk of tearing space, intending to flee into the void to increase their speed. Without comprehending the state of space, traveling in the void was extremely dangerous. The space-time flow there was always present. If one was not careful, one would get struck by it. Otherwise, one would be sliced into countless pieces or forever lost in the space-time flow. Hence, although the Emperor Wu could tear space, he rarely used it when fleeing. He was afraid of panicking and getting struck by the space-time flow. Only when he was relatively calm would he choose to flee into the void and travel. Of course, this only applied to the Kunlun continent, where space was relatively stable. If they were in the boundless starry heavens, given sufficient time, they would not dare to casually tear space. If they were careless and triggered a starry heaven storm, they would not even have a corpse left. When Xiaochen saw this, he was not in a rush. Even when he entered the void, he was not in a hurry. Even if he fled into the void, these two Emperor Wu's speed would not be able to match his. As long as he attacked fast enough, he could force them out. Whoosh! Whoosh! Xiaoqin's figure flashed twice in the air. Every time he stopped, he would throw a palm strike at the void. When Xiaochen threw a palm strike, the primordial energy infused with it shook the entire space. Every time Xiaochen threw a palm strike, he would knock a corpse race Emperor Wu out of the void. By the time Xiaochen threw two palm strikes, he had already arrived in front of the two corpse race Emperor Wu, blocking their path. The two corpse race Emperor Wu on the coffins showed extremely sullen expressions. The hemp-robed old man said, "Blue Dragon King, why are you in such a rush? If you force us into a corner, even if you kill us, you will suffer. Get out of the way. The two of us are willing to offer 50,000 origin essence stones." The amount of time that Emperor Wu could cultivate primordial energy was limited. Most of the time, he still cultivated the power of the demonic laws. Essence stones were the hard currency that Emperor Wu used. 50,000 primary essence stones was already a large sum of money. The two corpse clan Emperor Wu were also very sincere. Unfortunately, Xiaochen was not willing to accept this. Xiaochen said indifferently, "I can let you go, but you have to swear an oath to leave the Haotian state for 10 years. At Emperor Wu's level, he knew that the seemingly ethereal oaths and karmic luck, as well as the heavenly Tao, truly existed. An oath absolutely couldn't be made recklessly. Once it was violated, one would absolutely suffer a backlash from the heaven Tao. The two corpse race Emperor Wu did not say anything. They transmitted their voices to each other, discussing something. After a while, the hemp-robed old man snorted coldly and said, "You might not be too naive. The two of us came here to accumulate military merits. We want to obtain sufficient primordial pills and other treasures from the deity Tao Union to raise our cultivation. You can forget about leaving. In that case, there's no point in saying anything more." Xiaochen did not waste his breath. His figure flashed as he flew towards the hemp-robed old man, wanting to kill one of them first. A pained expression flashed in the hemp-robed old man's eyes. He slapped the coffin lid he sat on, and a demonic corpse with overwhelming death chi charged out. The other corpse race Emperor Wu also had a look of dissatisfaction in his eyes as he released the demonic corpse in the coffin. The two corpse race Emperor Wu intended to give up on the Emperor-grade demonic corpse that they had worked so hard to refine to delay Xiaochen and give themselves a chance to survive. Emperor-grade demonic corpses were not easy to refine. For the two to be able to steal their hearts and give up on them, they were extremely decisive. The demonic corpses did not fear death. They directly launched themselves at Xiaochen. Dense death chi spread from their bodies, dyeing the clouds in the sky pitch black like ink. Break! Xiaochen narrowed his eyes. If it were in the past, he would have found these inanimate objects with no spirituality extremely difficult to deal with. However, he now comprehended a saber domain. His saber intent was much stronger than before. When Xiaochen punched, 100 dragon force surged in his body. The saber intent in his sea of consciousness surged and gathered on his fist. The 100 dragons behind Xiao Chun appeared and roared ferociously in unison. However, the moment Xiao Chun punched, the sound of a treasured saber being drawn completely drowned out the dragon roars. Xiao Chun punched like a saber, showing an unparalleled sharpness. The 100 dragon images behind him seemed to turn into sharp blades, forming a sharp saber wind. With 2 punches, Xiao Chun shattered one of the demonic corpses that the other party valued. A berserk saber intent surged everywhere, shredding the demonic corpses into countless pieces. No matter what, they could not reform. The demonic corpses could not stop Xiao Chun at all. Instead, they allowed his aura to soar higher. Xiao Chun roared, and his body moved like a fish in water. Then, he turned into a dragon that went out to sea again. Xiao Chun moved incredibly fast, catching up to the 2 corpse race Emperor Wu again. After Xiao Chun got close, he brought out the Taiji force field. This time, the 2 corpse race Emperor Wu could no longer flee. Bang, bang, bang. In the air, Xiao Chun fought 1 against 2. However, he held the upper hand, suppressing the 2 corpse race Emperor Wu. On the island in the center of the lake, a purple-clad old man appeared somewhat entranced as he watched the scene in the air. The crowd of cultivators at the side was also somewhat dumbfounded by what they saw. White robes and white hair. It looks like this really is the Blue Dragon King, Xiao Chun. The rumors are true. Although our Thunder and Lightning Palaces in Juanxi and First Senior Sister, Shui Lingling, could defeat Emperor Wu, they did not seem to have it as easy as he did. Xiao Chun forced the 2 corpse race Emperor Wu to the point where they could not even flee. This is simply incredible. How incredible. I wonder, why did the Blue Dragon King pass by our Maple Leaf Lake? As these people spoke, 2 girls in their prime flew over to the island. One wore a veil, making it impossible to make out her appearance. However, based on her graceful figure and her spirited eyes, it was clear that she was a great beauty. When the other girl's appearance became clear, everyone on the island was shocked. The purple-clad old man guarding this place felt it was strange. He asked, "Isn't that the Lunar Palace's holy daughter, Yu Bingyan?" While it was strange, the 2 girls had the red armbands refined by the Haotian Prime on their arms. There was no mistaking their identities. The purple-clad old man led his subordinates out of the island in the center of the lake to welcome the 2 girls. "I am the Thunder and Lightning Palace's Elder Ma, guarding this island. Might I ask why the Holy Daughter is here?" Yu Bingyun smiled faintly and said, "Now, I am no longer the Lunar Palace's Holy Daughter. Elder Ma, there is no need to be so polite. This is my sister, the Dragon's Gate's Vice Sect Master, Chun. The 2 of us are here to wait for someone." Wait for someone? The purple-clad old man looked at the battle in the sky and said subconsciously, "We are waiting for the Blue Dragon King, Xiao Chun, right?" The Blue Dragon King received orders from the Haotian Prime to come and take over Maple Leaf Lake. "The 2 of us can be considered to be accompanying him," Yu Bingyun explained softly. The moment Yu Bingyun said that, the purple-clad old man's group immediately revealed expressions of joy. They asked quickly, "Really?" "Of course. When the Blue Dragon King comes down later, you will be able to see the Haotian Prime's command token." Chun smiled. Her voice as pleasant as a flowing mountain stream. "That's great. That's great. With the Blue Dragon King here, we will definitely be able to defend this node." "That's right. In the past, we always bullied Maple Leaf Lake because there was only one Emperor Wu. Now, let's see who dares to sneak attack us." The purple-clad old man's group could not contain their joy. With Xiao Chun here, not only would the group's chances of survival increase significantly, but they might even be able to obtain many military merits. As the 2 of them were chatting, 2 violent explosions came from the sky. Rumble. The world shook, and pillars of water shot up into the sky. A black whirlpool storm appeared in the air. These were 2 corpse race Emperor Wus choosing to detonate their hearts of an emperor in despair. However, these 2 were only First Heaven Emperor Wus. Xiao Chun sensed them long ago and dodged far away, suffering only some aftershocks. Xiao Chun gently flung his sleeves, and a strong wind blew, scattering the dense black fog of death chi. Then his figure drifted down and landed on the island in the center of the lake. Greetings, Blue Dragon King. Such elegance convinced the many disciples on the island. When they saw Xiao Chun descend, they all bowed in greeting. By now, Xiao Chun was already used to these rules. He did not feel restrained, much less vain. Xiao Chun stepped forward and handed the Haotian Prime's command token to Elder Ma. After the purple-clad old man looked at it, he returned it to Xiao Chun. Then he said with a smile, "The Blue Dragon King truly lives up to his reputation. He killed 2 Emperor Wus with one move. That is enough to accumulate 100,000 military merits to exchange for 10 primordial pills." Xiao Chun felt startled, somewhat surprised. He had not expected that killing 2 Emperor Wus would be enough to exchange for 10 primordial pills. Chapter 1359. Blue Dragon King, this way, please. I want to discuss the handover with you in detail. I will send someone to arrange lodgings for Miss Mo Chun and Miss Bingyun. What do you think? The purple-clad old man said respectfully. Although he was as strong as Emperor Wu, he had to be respectful to Xiao Chun, who easily killed 2 First Heaven Emperor Wu martial emperors. However, the purple-clad old man felt that the rumors were somewhat exaggerated. Based on the strength that the Blue Dragon King displayed, he was merely a peak minor Heavenly Emperor Wu. However, his emperor's might and aura were clearly weaker than the 4th Heaven Emperor Wu. Perhaps he had used some secret treasure or secret technique to kill a 5th Heaven Martial Emperor. Of course, no matter what, the peak minor Heavenly Emperor Wu was already sufficient for the purple-clad old man to be respectful to. There was no need to think too much. Xiao Chun nodded and followed the purple-clad old man to a pavilion on the island in the center of the lake. As for Mo Chun and Yu Bingyun, they were given a small courtyard near the pavilion. Inside the pavilion, the purple-clad old man brewed a pot of tea for Xiao Chun. After he personally filled it up, he said, "Blue Dragon King, it is like this. The handover is not complicated, but it is extremely important. However, it is very important, so do not be careless. I hope that the Azure Dragon King understands this responsibility." Xiao Chun nodded, indicating that he understood. "Elder Ma, there is no need to address me as Blue Dragon King. You could just call me by my name. Right now, we are all on the same side. There is no need to be so polite. There is no need to hide anything." Elder Ma smiled and said, "In that case, I will not stand on ceremony. Brother Xiao Chun, this is how it is. There are 2 main points to guarding this Maple Leaf Lake. The first is what you just experienced. Stopping the deity Dao Yunyan's sneak attacks and destroying the nodes of the formation are rather common. The second point is that when the deity Dao Yunyan launches a large-scale attack, activate the formation plate and resonate with the entire 9th layer of formations. Normally, this is the most troublesome aspect. Once the enemy launches an all-out attack, the pressure will be immense. Only by relying on formations can one withstand it. After saying that, Elder Ma handed a fiery red array card to Xiao Chun. The front side of the array card had mountains and rivers imprinted on it, while the back side had a fiery red sun. Xiao Chun took it, refined it again, and held it in his hand. Immediately, he felt that his entire body was connected to Maple Leaf Lake. In this Maple Leaf Lake, he was able to control a huge amount of energy. Both his offense and defense were greatly enhanced. This is the formation plate near Maple Leaf Lake. The Haotian disciples in the formation will be strengthened by the formation. Since you have the formation plate, the support you receive will be even greater, and you can summon the formation spirit to battle at any time. Elder Ma explained to Xiao Chun the various details of the array formation in detail. He was exceptionally serious in his explanation. Xiao Chun was naturally intelligent. He only needed to listen to it once before he understood most of it. All Xiao Chun needed to do was try a few times to understand the rest. Normally, these are the 2 points. Right now, we cannot lose even 1 layer of formations. If we lose 1 layer, the might of the formation will decrease significantly. The Haotian primes and those martial emperors will be able to draw less energy from the formation. Elder Ma smiled and said, "However, with the Blue Dragon King guarding Maple Leaf Lake. This node should be fine. After that, they chatted for a while. Then, Xiaochen mentioned military merits. Earlier, Elder Ma casually mentioned the 10 primordial pills. Xiaochen still remembered this. The primordial pills that the Flame Rock Sovereign obtained had greatly benefited Xiaochen, giving him a deep understanding of the importance of primordial pills. Elder Ma said, since this is a battlefield, both sides will have military merits as incentives. I do not know about the deity Dao Union. The Haotian Prime said that if one kills a first Heaven Emperor Wu, they will be rewarded with 5 primordial pills. As you know, for primes, primordial energy has already been cultivated to the limits and cannot advance any further. Hence, they can easily refine primordial pills. Furthermore, I heard that before the Thunder King left, he handed a large number of primordial pills to the Haotian Prime. Hence, the military merits on our side are very bountiful. Elder Ma said enviously as he looked at Xiaochen. As a fellow Emperor Wu, he naturally knew the wondrous effects of the primordial pill. After chatting for a while, Elder Ma took his leave. The other party still had many things to do, so Xiaochen did not try to keep him. After Elder Ma left, Xiaochen left the pavilion alone. He wanted to see for himself what the Haotian province had become. Maple Leaf Lake was actually very far from Haotian City. If it were an ordinary person, even riding a horse, it would take 3 days and 3 nights. However, there was an even vaster territory in front of Maple Leaf Lake. That place used to be peaceful. At this moment, Xiaochen stood at the summit of a tall mountain by the lake and looked into the distance. Everything he saw had turned into rubble. The cities, mountains, rivers were all destroyed beyond recognition. The deity Dao Union cultivators occupied the capital cities that were in better condition. The sky was dark, filled with the various warships of the deity Dao Union. Their banners fluttered loudly in the wind. As Xiaochen stood on this tall mountain and looked at all this, he felt how insignificant his individual strength was. In such a large-scale battle, his individual strength was extremely limited. Even if he was just in this 9th layer of formations, he would not be able to play a decisive role. He could only do his best. The battlefront was too long and involved too many cultivators. He could only rely on the strength of the team. Xiaochen watched for a long time on this tall mountain filled with maple trees. Then, he stepped back and walked on Maple Leaf Lake. The sun set in the west, and the stars flickered. Night arrived quietly. Xiaochen calmed himself and started practicing the first move of the flawless saber technique, the void-breaking stance on Maple Leaf Lake. At the same time, he quietly comprehended to see if he could come up with the second move. Thus, he was rather free. As for the deity Dao Union's headquarters, which was responsible for destroying the formations, it was a different scene. In a small room, the 4 greater heavenly Emperor Wu of the corpse race, ghost race, deity race, and human race sat in the front row. A group of minor heavenly Emperor Wu followed behind them. There were a total of 4 greater heavenly Emperor Wu and 46 minor heavenly Emperor Wu in this room. Nearly all the Emperor Wu that the deity Dao Union sent to destroy the formations were gathered here. As for the stronger Emperor Wu, they were like the Haotian sect, coordinating with each other. This was not the time for them to make a move yet. In reality, this was also a formless contest. The side that could not hold on first would send out the peak Emperor Wu, and that side would immediately fall into a disadvantageous position. For example, if the Haotian sect formations could no longer hold on, they would need to send out the greater heavenly Emperor Wu to put out the fire. As for the deity Dao Union's greater heavenly Emperor Wu, he would smile like a flower, watching these greater heavenly Emperor Wu exhaust their energy. When the other side was almost exhausted, it would be much easier for the deity Dao Union to make a move. 2 of the corpse race's Emperor Wu died in the direction of Maple Leaf Lake. This is somewhat abnormal. None of the corpse race cultivators that accompanied them return alive. This is already somewhat abnormal. We have to figure this out. Otherwise, it will affect the overall attack tomorrow. The deity race's greater heavenly Emperor Wu, who sat in the middle, was called Lung Zhengyang. He was the nominal commander of the allied army of the 4 races. What is there to check? The corpse race's Emperor Wu was only average in the first place. He was greedy and took risks. Due to his carelessness, he ended up getting wiped out. I think this is quite normal, the ghost race's greater heavenly Emperor Wu said with a smile, not minding it. This infuriated the corpse race's greater heavenly Emperor Wu. Everyone knew that the corpse race and the ghost race were not on good terms. It would be strange if they did not fight when they met. Lung Xingyang shook his head and looked at the human race's greater heavenly Emperor Wu. An elder of the Phoenix's Passion Palace asked, "Brother Qinxing, what do you think?" This old man's name was Su Qinxing. He held a high position in the Phoenix's Passion Palace. This deity race, martial emperor, did not dare to underestimate him. Su Qinxing said, "It is not a big deal. Maple Leaf Lake is not the main node. Our primary target is still Meteor Trail City. That is the main node of the 9th layer." Good. It is settled, then. The plan for tomorrow's overall attack will not change. We will do our best to destroy the 9th layer of formations within half a month. Chapter 1360. As Xiao Chan walked over Maple Leaf Lake, he practiced the first move of the flawless saber technique, the void-breaking stance. After a few more deductions, his comprehension of this move became more and more perfect. The various aspects of this move became increasingly clear in his mind. The initial void-breaking stance was simply infusing all the energy into the saber domain with the flawless saber Dao. After that, he used the explosive power of the 3 sabers to draw out this saber strike, achieving a miraculous killing power. Previously, the Cloud Moon Saber broke. Although the Cloud Moon Saber took the initiative to seek death, it also had something to do with the might of Xiao Chen's saber strike. If it were another person given a chance to break, the saber in their hand would still break. This was because that person was Xiao Chen, the Xiao Chen who walked out of his own flawless saber Dao. When he executed the void-breaking stance, he used the saber to control space, shocking the heavens. That time, the void-piercing slash was executed in a hurry and was completely improvised. As a result, no matter how he tried, he could not achieve the effect of using the saber to control space. However, as Xiao Chen continued to perfect it, this saber strike had already taken form. As long as he continued to practice it and reach consummation, it would naturally achieve the effect of using the saber to control space. More importantly, he had already completely comprehended this move. He could start comprehending and practicing the next move. Xiao Chen already had a vague idea of the second move of the flawless saber technique. The day it took form was not far away. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 2 graceful figures flew over the calm lake surface. They were Mo Chun and Yu Bingyun, who had settled down, flying over to him. At this moment, it was almost dusk. The 2 girls flew over close to the lake's surface, basking in the light of the setting sun. She moved through the fiery red maple leaves. Her exquisite figure was like that of a fairy. Xiao Chen revealed a smile as he stopped comprehending and stood up to welcome the 2 girls. After walking around, "What do you think?" Mo Chun asked with a smile. Yu Bingyun smiled faintly and said, "To think that you can still smile. Furthermore, you are still comprehending and cultivating. It looks like your mental state is rather stable. With the army approaching, it is already pretty good that you can remain so calm." The 2 women asked and answered, and Xiao Chen said what he wanted to say, but he didn't know what to say. After pondering for a moment, Xiao Chen said, "Adapt to the circumstances and do your best." Although the deity Dao Union was strong, it was not without weaknesses. It looks astonishing and covers the sky, but it might really be to hide the fear in their hearts. If they could bear the price, they would have launched an all-out attack long ago. How so? The 2 women looked at each other. They both felt that Xiao Chen's words had a hidden meaning, and they seemed to have discovered something. That's right. After walking around, Xiao Chen did find something. He said, "The deity Dao Union is very strong, at least twice as strong as the Haotian sect and the Dragon's Gate combined. But they haven't launched an all-out attack yet. They only want to take down the Haotian sect at the lowest cost. It might seem safe, but it exposes the schemes between the various powers. No one is willing to make more sacrifices afraid that they will have to bear the price. This is our chance. The true strength of a force can't be judged by its appearance, but by its internal sharpness. After pausing for a moment, Xiao Chun continued. If a person loses his sharpness, he will lose his sharpness. If a faction loses its sharpness, no matter how strong it will just be a pile of loose sand. You sound like that makes sense, Mo Chan said with a mischievous smile. In that case, big brother Xiao Chun, have you thought of any way to defeat the enemy? Can you share it with us? When Xiao Chun heard this, he was stunned at first. Then, he laughed loudly and said, Little girl, why are you always so smart? I can't bring you out anymore in the future. After saying that, the three started laughing. Xiao Chun had said so much. While it seemed like he made sense, it was actually all futile. They could only do their best. However, this was not the main point. What was important was the mentality of the three. Even in such a precarious situation, they could still laugh heartily, looking down on everything. In life, how could everything go as one wished? There was a way to resolve everything. One just had to adapt to the situation and do one's best, doing one's best. Bathed in the afterglow of the setting sun, the three used the lake as a table. As the maple leaves drifted about, they tasted wine and chatted leisurely. Boom! When the sky brightened, rumbling suddenly came from the distance. Following that, it sounded like thunder rumbling endlessly. Xiao Qin stood up and looked into the distance. Then, he muttered to himself, they are really fast. He felt somewhat nervous in his heart and somewhat expectant at the same time. In a moment, he would personally witness this great battle, one that the Kunlun continent rarely saw in 10,000 years. Big brother Xiao Chun, is the deity Dao Union attacking? Mo Chun asked softly. Xiao Chun nodded and said, they are. However, this place does not seem to be the main focus. Let's return to the island in the center of the lake first. Right? The three gently pushed off the ground and flew to the island in the center of the lake. The many disciples on the island were already prepared. Clearly, this was not their first time experiencing such a scene. The purple-clad old man quickly flew over to Xiao Chen's side and asked for Xiao Chen's instructions. Xiao Chen said politely, Old sir, there is no need to do this. I'll leave everything to you. If a strong enemy attacks, I'll fight them personally. Combat was Xiao Chen's forte. However, when it came to commanding, he felt that he was still much weaker. When the purple-clad old man heard that, he revealed a smile on his face. It is rare for brother Xiao Chen to be so magnanimous. In that case, this old man will do as you say. Blue Dragon King, please hold the line. Just leave everything else, big or small, to this old man. Xiao Chen nodded. This was the effect that he wanted as well. This was to his liking. After 10 breaths, the deity Dao Union's warships appeared in Xiao Chen's vision. The largest warship headed straight for the core node of the 9th layer, Meteor Trail City. It did not pay much attention to Maple Leaf Lake. Whoosh! In the next moment, the ancient demonic energy cannons on the warship tilted down. Beams of gorgeous light crisscrossed, looking like rain as they descended on the various nodes of the 9th layer. Whoosh! Meteor Trail City sent out surging energy to the left and right of the warship. Closely following that, the various nodes of the 9th layer activated the formation plates in their hands. The 9th layer of the Worldly Mountain River Great Sun Formation formed a circle. The various nodes were at least 500,000 kilometers away from each other. However, at this moment, with the activation of the formation, all the nodes were tightly connected. Mountains, rivers, and cities occupied the nodes of the formation, all of them tightly connected. As Xiao Chan stood in the middle of the formation, after Meteor Trail City activated the formation, he infused law energy into it. Rumble! As for the situation elsewhere, Xiao Chan did not know. All he could see was a blurry barrier appeared in the sky above Maple Leaf Lake, blocking the incoming ancient demonic energy cannons. The lake waters surged, and pillars of water soared into the sky. An enormous explosion echoed throughout the heavens and earth, deafening the crowd. The entire world seemed to tremble. At this moment, the land for millions of kilometers around did not remain calm. The ground was like the sea, rising and falling with surging waves. No matter where one stood, one could feel the strength of the wind and waves. The Hautian sect and thunder and lightning palace disciples on the island in the center of the lake showed anxious expressions as they grasped their weapons, waiting for the upcoming battle. Xiaochen closed his eyes. His white robes and hair did not change at all. After a while, Xiaochen suddenly opened his eyes. The four deity Dao Union warships in front flew straight for Maple Leaf Lake. The many deity Dao Union cultivators descended from the warships and charged towards Maple Leaf Island. Xiaochen formed hand seals and infused a strand of primordial energy into the formation plate. Immediately, the cultivators on the island received the support of the formation. Their bodies glowed with a sun-like light, looking as warm as the sun. The deity Dao Union cultivators who landed on the lake all radiated sinister auras. Their complexions were pale, looking like spirits from hell. These were all Ghost Race cultivators. Four Ghost Race Emperor Wu stood on the bows of the four warships, looking coldly at Maple Leaf Lake with sinister expressions. They are Ghost Race cultivators. Panic appeared on the faces of the disciples on the island. The enemies that they did not want to run into the most were Ghost Race cultivators. The methods of the Ghost Race were mysterious and unfathomable. Aside from cultivating death chi, they could also use human souls to fight, inspiring great fear in others. The purple-clad old man on the island in the center of the lake also showed shock on his face. Why are the Ghost Race cultivators not attacking Meteor Trail City, but coming to our Maple Leaf Lake? Chapter 1361. The Ghost Race cultivators gave Xiaochen a headache. If only he had not used up the Taoist divine lamp in the Yellow Springs Hell. Fortunately, Xiaochen's mental energy had increased significantly. He even condensed a dermic incarnation in the depths of his sea of consciousness, which gave him strong resistance to the attacks of the spirits. More importantly, his mental state was now stable. The Ghost Race's methods should have difficulty affecting him. Outside the invisible barrier, hundreds of Ghost Race cultivators formed hand seals at the same time. As the Ghost Race cultivators' hands moved, evil spirits of various shapes appeared. Some of the strong cultivators even summoned 4 or 5 spirits in one go, looking exceptionally scary. With the appearance of these specters and evil spirits, the temperature of Maple Leaf Lake dropped a little more. A chill spread to the island. Several disciples trembled in the depths of their bones. Xiaochen frowned slightly. This won't do. Before the battle started, they were already afraid. Even with the support of the formations, they would not have much of an advantage. One should not underestimate these hundreds of Ghost Race cultivators. Although the strongest among them was the blue-robed Emperor, when they worked together, they only had the ability to kill Emperor Wu. When Xiaochen fought with the Ghost Race Emperor Wu, these Ghost Race cultivators broke through the island and destroyed the nodes of the formations. Even if Xiaochen killed all 4 of the other party's Emperor Wus, he would still be the one defeated. In such a huge battle, one had to consider the overall situation. Blue Dragon King, do you have any ideas? The purple-clad old man asked worriedly as he stood beside Xiaochen. He had not expected so many Ghost Race cultivators to charge to Maple Leaf Lake. Xiaochen shook his head. There was no way to quickly dispel his fear of the Ghost Race cultivators. He could only think of other ways. Let's end the battle quickly and minimize our losses. Later, Bingyun, Imo, Chun accompany Elder Ma to fight. Deal with these Ghost Race cultivators before they reach the island. I will deal with their Emperor Wu. The moment Xiaochen said that, Elder Ma, Yu Bingyun, and Imo Chun looked at him in shock. The purple-robed old man said, "That won't do. They are 4 Emperor Wu, and I'm one of them. It should be Emperor Wu of the 3rd heavenly layer and Emperor Wu of the Ghost Clan. I have to help you." Xiaochen said, "Elder Ma, you don't have to worry about me. Even if I can't defeat them, I can still protect myself." Given the current situation, Xiaochen's plan was the best solution. The other side would never have imagined that Shao Chun would dare to take on all four of them by himself. Let Elder Ma, this Emperor Wu, participate in the battle below Emperor Wu. As long as he eliminated or repelled the 100 ghost race warriors on the lake, the other side would have to retreat even if they did not want to. So. Right after Shao Chun spoke, hundreds of ghost race cultivators appeared on the lake, leading even more specters and malicious spirits. After entering the range of the formation, he charged at the island in the middle of the lake with surging killing chi. The instant the ghost race cultivators entered the range of the formation, their auras and speed weakened visibly. This was the might of the formation. However, when facing the ghost race, their auras were not very strong. Since that was the case, they could only forcefully bring out their auras. Before Elder Ma could say anything, Shao Chun soared into the sky, heading for the warship carrying the ghost race's third heaven Emperor Wu. Before Elder Ma could recover from a shock, he saw half of the flag falling from the sky. The instant Shao Chun charged onto the warship, he killed the 2 ghost race cultivators guarding the banner. Then, he chopped off the banner with a palm strike. Immediately, the disciples of the Haoyan sect and the Thunder and Lightning Palace on the island were startled. After being stunned for a while, they recovered their wits and cheered. It's the Blue Dragon King. The Blue Dragon King, Shao Chun, came out and chopped off the other side's banner. When the ghost race cultivators, who had been charging forward, saw the banner suddenly fall, they all paused. Their charging footsteps paused for a moment. How can this be? The banner broke in an instant. Who is this person? He is very fast. Panic spread in the hearts of these ghost race cultivators, and their auras immediately weakened. And Mo Chun, who was beside Elder Ma, stepped forward and said, "Elder Ma, if we do not fight now, when will we?" A brilliant light flashed in Elder Ma's eyes. His emperor's might spread out as he shouted, "Disciples guarding the island in the middle, heed my orders. The Blue Dragon King has already chopped off the other side's banner. We will definitely win this battle. Everyone, come with me and kill all these ghost race cultivators." Kill. With Shao Chun chopping off the banner and Elder Ma and the 2 girls leading the charge, the many disciples on the island in the middle burned with fighting spirit, charging forward with a flourishing aura. A fierce battle broke out on the vast lake's surface in an instant. When Shao Chun suddenly appeared in the sky and chopped off the banner, the ghost race Emperor Wu, who stood on the bow of the warship, showed an extremely sullen expression. The black-robed Emperor Wu's pale face filled with murderous intent. He looked at Shao Chun and said coldly, "I was wondering what was going on. The 2 corpse race Emperor Wu never returned. It turns out that the famous Blue Dragon King is here." The white-robed Shao Chun, who carried a bronze sword box on his back, stood on the warship's railing. Aside from the broken banner, there were also the corpses of 2 ghost race martial sages. Shao Chun said indifferently, "There is no need to delay. I'll give you a chance to bring your companions over." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A figure flew over from each of the other 3 directions. The ghost race Emperor Wu from the other 3 warships appeared at the same time. They each took a position and surrounded Shao Chun. The black-robed Emperor Wu at the front was a 3rd heaven martial sage. He did not fear Shao Chun. When he saw his companions coming over, he smiled and said, "It is good to be courageous. However, being too courageous makes one arrogant and ignorant. The ghost race is far stronger than you imagine. Today is the day you die. Remember this old man's name? Su Muqing." With his companions here, Su Muqing no longer bothered speaking nonsense with Shao Chun. His figure flashed, and he charged over like a phantom. Su Muqing's footsteps were swift, and his afterimages flickered. It was like there were 3 people moving. It was hard to tell which was real and which was fake. When Shao Chun got close, he discovered a specter with auras no weaker than his own on each side. While it looked like only one person made a move, there were actually 3 strong Emperor Wus attacking at the same time. The other 3 Ghost Race First Heaven Emperor Wus also took advantage of the situation to charge over at this moment. Each of them had an Emperor Great Spectre that was no weaker than the main body. The situation immediately turned into 9 against 5. No wonder this Su Muqing did not panic when facing Xiao Chun at all. This was a critical moment. There was no time for Xiao Chun to think. Xiao Chen's figure moved left and right. It looked like he had 2 more clones, clashing with the attacks of Su Muqing and his 2 specters. Bang! The 3 sounds of fighting overlapped. Su Muqing took 10 steps back, and the 2 specters each took 100 steps back. The afterimages merged, and Xiao Chun stood at the warship's railing. He did not move back at all, and his robes fluttered loudly. Only then did Xiao Chun discover that Xiao Chun did not have any clones. It was just that he was too fast. After attacking 3 times, the afterimages did not have time to fade away, giving the illusion of him splitting into 3. What vast primordial energy! This fellow has not advanced to Martial Emperor yet. How does he have such accumulations? Su Muqing felt startled in his heart. He revealed a grave expression as he shouted, "Don't hold anything back. Kill him directly. The contribution we will make will be much greater than conquering Maple Leaf Lake." Xiao Chun, who was at the bow, did not have much time to rest. He had just knocked back Su Muqing when the other 3 Ghost Race Emperor Wu's specters surrounded him. Xiao Chun stood at the warship's railing, using his palm as a saber. His figure was like a fallen leaf in the wind, swaying up and down. Xiao Chun faced the Ghost Race Emperor Wu's relentless barrage of attacks like a storm. Xiao Chun's body seemed unsteady at times, falling over. However, the moment he was about to fall, he suddenly straightened up like a dragon. Xiao Chun tumbled back and forth, swaying left and right. Occasionally, he stood on one leg and spun around. Xiao Chun's figure changed unpredictably, leaving behind countless afterimages. In this small space, he brought out the fish dragon art to its limits. It looked like there were thousands of changes, but in reality, his feet had not moved at all from start to finish. Xiao Chun brought out the profoundness of the fish dragon art to its fullest. Several of the attacks looked like they had struck him. However, he was like a fish in the water, separated by a layer of water. Being hit was just an illusion, but in reality, he had still brushed past Xiao Chun. Big Brother Su, the brothers below can't hold on any longer. A ghost race cultivator, who was distracted by the battle below, asked somewhat anxiously. His mental state had clearly turned anxious. Su Muqing said coldly, "Don't worry about it. As long as we kill him, we'll make a huge profit. I don't believe that he can outlast the 4 of us. No matter how profound his movement technique is, this old man will drag him to death." During the intense battle, Xiao Chun fought to his heart's content. When he heard this, he said coldly, "That's right. Indeed, I cannot outlast the 4 of you by myself. However, when did I say that I would definitely outlast you? From the start to the end, it has been me, Xiao Chun, delaying you, not you delaying me." When Su Muqing heard that, his expression changed. Before he could react, he saw a powerful saber intent within 1 kilometer of Xiao Chun. Suddenly, a powerful saber intent with unparalleled sharpness appeared in that strange force field. That was the result of Xiao Chun merging his saber domain and the Taiji force field. Saber intent gathered in Xiao Chun's eyes. His clothes fluttered, and his aura suddenly changed. It was like his body was a powerful treasure saber with a wanton sharpness. Xiao Chun ferociously pushed with his left and right hands. A melodious saber hum came from his body and spread throughout the place. Like a treasure saber being unsheathed, as Xiao Chun pushed with his hands, the incoming saber intent turned into a strong wind, pressing at the 4 Ghost Race Emperor Wu. The sharpness of this saber intent inspired fear. The 4 Ghost Race cultivators, who had been attacking Xiao Chun nonstop, saw a saber light flash before their eyes. A saber light flashed before everyone's eyes. When they saw the incoming saber wind, their attacks paused, and they had no choice but to block. When Xiao Chun pushed with his hands, it was like a treasure saber being unsheathed. The fighting spirit in his heart blazed like a blazing fire, burning endlessly with hot-bloodedness. Many thanks to the four of you for your relentless attacks, turning the situation around on this island in the center of the lake. It has been hard on you. This Xiao will borrow your heads again." Xiao Chun laughed loudly, filled with lofty sentiments. Then he kicked ferociously, and a huge king-grade warship under his feet exploded. The few Emperor Wus exchanged moves in the sky, causing the clouds to churn and the sky to change color. Countless mysterious phenomena appeared in the clouds. As Xiao Chun laughed, winds blew and clouds churned, shaking the surroundings. Normally, this would definitely attract the attention of many cultivators. However, at this moment, such scenes were happening everywhere in the Haotian province. The phenomenon before them was just an inconspicuous wave amidst the surging waves of phenomena. However, there was no rush. After this battle, this unremarkable wave would kick up a huge wave with the support of the Blue Dragon King's name.